LeBron times Hennessy.
LeBron James.
Anybody else want some LeBron times Hennessy?
I'm good.
That's basic math.
I'm good.
LeBron times Hennessy equals a good morning. I would have been playing Call 'em Baton Rouge from Garth Brooks because that's where I'm going tonight, but stupid ass Garth Brooks doesn't put his shit on Spotify.
Stupid ass.
I kind of agree with Tom Segura here. Hey, what's up, y'all? How we doing? I need to open the chat. What's up? Vibing, cowboy?
Yeah, we're vibing. We kind of had some good music going, but
we did.
All right.
No, that's all right. Good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What do we got today, guys?
You know, that's how I used to open up morning meeting.
When you were president?
Yeah, good morning.
I don't remember that at all.
I barely remember. And then this is how we would exit. Seniors and faculty. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, those were the days.
Who told the underclassmen when to leave?
Nobody. Well, maybe somebody. We were about.
I was going to say that would be
They
a
gotta
great.
fuck out.
Like
Yeah.
That's perfect. They just sit there.
Yeah.
So there's no one to tell
have
them
to
to go.
figure it out on their
Yeah,
own.
that's awesome.
Guys. We've got a lot to talk about today. This show is going to be a little bit different. Most Fridays I've been like, all right, there's 17 games. We're gonna do this one, then this one, then this one, then this one, and we're gonna pay attention to the Panthers and the Giants in London. We're not gonna do that.
That's your Macon voice, too.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much anybody. It's also my Zach Taylor voice. Oh, let's target the guy who couldn't show up to a fucking meeting on 4th down twice in a divisional tilt. Oh. Or whoever's making that decision.
Did you like that 2-pointer?
I did not like the 2-pointer. And I know they're sure of it. It's like, oh, that's what you do, because we said it on Monday when the Bucs, who had zero chance of playing with Kansas City in overtime, decided to kick. And it's like the dumbest thing in the world. And it was. It doesn't make last night's game like you don't have to do the same thing last night. It's a different ball game, in my opinion. I know the Ravens went down and scored a bunch of times. I might be way off on this one because at the end of the day, it's an opinion thing. Nobody knows what would have happened in the next 39 seconds. But in my opinion, with Tucker kicking the way he's kicking, you might be in overtime. I think if you win that coin toss, you win the game if you're the Bengals.
And I think if it's a tie game, the offense getting the ball relaxes and often takes a knee. I know it changes the calculus when you're getting it on the 30 and you're a throw or two away from field goal range, but they're not pushing like they are if they're down one.
Listen, and I totally get it. And we watched I watched 5 minutes of the Amazon post-game show, but everybody was like, yeah, you kick. They also didn't seem to know for sure whether they thought those fouls at the end of the game mattered. To a man, to a woman, they were like, you go for 2. You don't kick. Sorry. So I'm looking at it. I'm saying, and their reasoning for the most part is, what? It's like Lamar's going to get him in field goal range. He's going to. But if that's the case, you're going to lose on a kick.
I think what Fitzy said was right. There are lots of factors that need to be taken into account, and I think the most important is time. And if you're under a minute at 38 or 39 seconds,
I think you're in the zone where you could do either one.
Yeah, I think I lean toward going.
You lean toward going for 2.
What do you think about home and road? You think that matters? 'Cause that's what everybody says. You're on the road, you got to go for it.
I think a lot of times it matters, but and people talk about the 3rd and 4th quarter. Like, listen, Baltimore, you couldn't get them off the field. It was a lot like Cincinnati in the first half. But I think in the same breath, I have notes from 30 minutes earlier in the game, like an hour of real time earlier. And the notes go, Lamar under siege. Lamar's checking out his hand on the sideline. Bengals up 14 in control of this game. The next note is Chase Brown fumbles.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is where everything changes. And look no further than that to see why momentum matters. I'm sure Baltimore made some adjustments and they got more aggressive. But I also feel like the game just flips on its head when he fumbles that football. And my point is, if you can kick and you can create a pressure situation now for both teams, maybe Baltimore doesn't perform the same. And for God's sakes, if you just kick it deep and not into the end zone and you actually had kickers that were willing to take chances in the NFL, maybe you could pin somebody at like the 20-yard line. If we have figured out how to fucking pin people in the NFL, like I'd be kicking and pinning every time, you know?
Thought we'd be there by week 10.
Yeah, we're not there. We're not there. And like, listen, I think what everybody came for is to hear Nate take his victory lap on Cooked.
I just want to ask you, Chris, are the Bengals cooked?
I just want to ask you, are the Bengals cooked?
Not supposed to answer a question with a question, my friend.
I'll answer this question as I sip my LeBron Times Hennessy.
Go ahead.
The Bengals covered, so we're fine. Okay? Like
I
big
respect
time.
that.
They go down and they get that score, we're fine. All personal stuff is
You know what I
off the table.
regret?
What?
A few weeks ago when you reached that white hand out to me and asked me to bet about the Bengals, and they've been on a skid.
What is that what you regret?
Yeah, not taking.
What do
that
you
bet
regret not
because
taking the bet?
You were saying you were very confident in the
So
bet.
are you proud you didn't take a bet you should have? Is that what this is?
Yeah, maybe.
Look, the
listen,
7th
I'm proud-
seed at the moment is the 5-4 Denver Broncos. Cincy's 4-6. They
Thank
just
you.
played Baltimore
Thank you.
in their place better than Baltimore played.
Wow.
And
game.
when scoring at least 33 points this year, the NFL, every team except the Bengals are 38-1. The Bengals are 2-3.
No, there's no doubt about it. These guys deserve to be like
Must I remind you?
Yeah.
You want to know the Bengals?
Yeah.
You want to know their wins? Their 4 wins? Do you know them?
Raiders,
The
Giants.
2-7 Panthers,
Panthers.
the 2-7 Giants,
Yep.
the 2-7 Browns,
Yep.
and the 2-7 Ravens.
Wait,
is that
are
a
you-
good team?
Are you counting your Super Bowl team as a negative win?
Is that a good team?
Can I ask you a question once more? Are you counting the team you picked to win the Super Bowl
Yeah.
as a win you shouldn't be proud of? That's the Cleveland Browns, man. That's your Super Bowl Browns.
Their front office is to blame for this as the Bengals front office is to
No, I
blame
think
for
the
their
coaches
season.
if I could be serious and answer your question, like they deserve to be cooked. Like they're asking for the hibachi treatment. Like the way, and I'll get into why I think they botched that game last night. I mean, there's plenty of moments in that game where they could win the game, but this is the common thread. It's like Kansas City, you have them. You know, Baltimore, you have them twice. Like almost doesn't count, right? Our girl Brandy said it.
Yep.
And I live by that motto.
Horseshoes
So
and grenades.
yeah, but here's the thing: 4-6. I do know another team that made the playoffs at 4-6. I was on one. So you got to understand that if I'm not willing to like just fillet them right here on the show,
No, I get it.
like, but if you think they're cooked, by all means. Like I think most people in the chat do think they're cooked.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah, what's up?
If you're a front office, what is your beef with paying Jamar Chase every dime he wants?
It's the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know, Noel. What do you think?
I think just strapped for cash. They're one of those franchises where and I think this is something that's generally the most or the least understood thing about team building is like who your owner is matters as far as the guys are able to pay.
Right.
Some organizations are just way more cash liquid than others. So the Bengals are not one of those teams, and they're constantly fighting this battle, especially once they pay the QB.
They have that reputation.
So,
yeah.
It's just, bro, but when
I
when
agree.
you see a game like that,
$1.
you feel. But if you're a GM, like you feel a little crazy. Like, dang, like we haven't paid this guy. And
No,
this is
you
what
feel
he's-
nuts.
This
I
is
think
what
you
he's
feel
doing
nuts.
for us.
I think you also feel nuts for wasting Jovember.
Mm-hmm.
Like they put that graphic up last night. I'm like, oh, we might turn this thing around. Like the Bengals might, the way he's playing, and the way he plays in November. Like that's why that game was so big. Like we're 5-5. They're 5-5. If you're the Bengals, you're thinking we are 5-5. We walk out of here with a win. We got a 14-point lead. For the second time, you have a lead. And I don't remember how big that lead got in the first game. But you're up 14 in this game, and it's a turnover. It's just like the last game. It's like you get all the way down the field, you turn the ball over, you're in control of the game. They turn the ball over, and, I could complain all day about, hey, listen, I understand you go either way on going for two. I'm not going to say that's the story of the game because, truth be told, they blew 2 calls possibly on the same play. Yeah. Definitely 1. Maybe 3, depending on the way you look at it. Now, I'm not going to complain about the outcome of the game based on officiating just because I was on the Bengals. They covered anyways. But, like, honestly, to me, the worst thing was not kicking, taking a waste shot on 3rd and 2, then taking a waste shot on 4th and 2. That was bad to me. Like, that was bad to me. First off, you just run the ball on 3rd and 2. And if you don't get it and you're willing to go for it on 4th down, then you got 4th and a yard. Probably, depending on the call, okay? You don't get blown up in the backfield. You got 4th and short, okay? You take a waste shot on 3rd and 2, that to me does nothing. You take a waste shot on 4th and 2, that to me does nothing. You give the ball right back. It's like possessions don't matter in a game where it's just touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. You could make it a 4-point game. And you're telling me if the Bengals get the ball back down 3, and this is the rhythm of scoring that the game goes into now if you're up 4. If they score last with 49 seconds to go, or say the Bengals were in the Ravens' position, 39 seconds to go, down 3, I think Joe still gets that kickoff. I still think they get into field goal range the way they were picking them apart, especially with Kyle Hamilton down. Now, you could say, hey, Kyle Hamilton's not on the field. You might as well take advantage of the opportunity and go for 2, and I see that. But, like, Kyle Hamilton being down in general, if we're talking about the Ravens, is a big deal. And I don't know what the outcome of that injury is. Like, have we heard anything today?
Sprained ankle, not serious.
Okay, so X-ray was fine. All right, so that's a major bullet they dodged. But him not coming back into the game definitely meant that if you got the ball in overtime, in my opinion, you win that game. But taking those shots on 3rd and 4th down seemed wasteful. Going to Burton twice on 4th down seemed wasteful. They have wasted this run. And the defense is the tackling. The tackling late in the game was terrible. I texted Nolan early in the game. I'm like, holy shit, they went into Baltimore at night and out-hit Baltimore. For 3 quarters, almost. They had out-hit Baltimore. They had out-tempoed Baltimore. They had them on their heels. All it takes is one fumble. Momentum's a motherfucker in the NFL. It's real. People that tell you it's not real, they never been on a field like that where something like that changes. And you could see, I've never seen Lamar more frustrated in recent memory since maybe the AFC Championship game. And I don't know even in that game if he was as frustrated. I mean, it was like they end the half trying to get into field goal range, and Hilton comes down and knifes Deontay Johnson on the sideline, and they can't even get a kickoff.
That was a great tackle.
It was a great tackle.
Great.
But it's like the Ravens, they did all this shit wrong in the first half, and I don't know if it's adjustments that Monken made. I know they were more aggressive defensively, manned up a little bit more just from me sitting on the couch watching. But they got more aggressive offensively, and I feel like Lamar probably went into the half and was like, yo, let me win this fucking game. And he is truly, an MVP personified. Like, that's what being an MVP is all about. Like, him rolling right is kryptonite for this Bengals team. That same spot that he stiff-armed Sam Hubbard, he ran away from, I think it was B.J. Hill and like 4 people last night. I mean, the guy's amazing. But for people, remember a couple months ago, quarterback play was dead. We forgot how to score. 69 points on a Thursday.
Oof. So is it just that the Bengals that are a good matchup for the Ravens, or like we see 2 games in a row like with these guys playing, like do the Bengals have like the blueprint to kind of run it up on the Ravens?
No, I think they're a bad matchup for the Ravens for sure, but I think there's more than one team that's going to be a bad matchup for the Ravens going forward because I haven't seen them put out the fire on defense.
Yeah.
Like
it's just about when you play them, it's just about matching points probably.
It is.
Yeah.
And to me, like, Lou did a nice job of keeping the points down in the first half, but everything has to go well. You can't give them short fields.
Yeah.
The minute you give them short fields and they get going, like, the best thing about the first half is they never got started.
Yeah. First quarter, they had the ball for under 2 minutes?
I think the plays were 23-3 at one point.
Yeah. Joe Burrow, they were on their first drive was over 5 minutes, and then the next drive was almost 8.
No question.
Something like that.
And so if you can keep these guys off the field, keep them from getting in a rhythm, that sort of thing, like, that's great. But I do want to point this out. Like, I was going to let you – I'm giving you the grill. So if you want to, like, you can start a fire in here. I don't care. Maybe we'll see a fire truck this morning. All right?
You know the craziest thing? I was watching the game, and when they went up 14, And I was sitting there, and I was like, as much as like I want to be right,
Yeah.
I'm like, the Bengals, they aren't a bad team,
Bro, that's all I'm saying.
And then that fumble happened, and then that fumble happened, and you're just like, when you're a bad team, like I feel like bad stuff happens, and like
Yes.
you do stuff like not like you said at the end of the game, like you try to go for it because you're like, oh, I'm desperate, like we're gonna win, we're gonna get it in there, and then you don't, and then it's just like, damn, just like you said, like you give yourself a chance. Give yourself a chance, and
I just thought Taylor was the problem to me is they came into the game aggressive, obviously, but not knowing when to turn the aggression off in some spots. To me, was the problem. Like you got these guys dead to rights. You looked like for a while the Bengals from a couple years ago. Higgins is out. He did this without the left tackle. They got number 61 in there, who's like a revolving door, and you know, you've got
Burrow's tough as hell because he was taking
shots.
And let me ask you this:
he was pressured.
Go ahead.
Pressured on 47% of his dropbacks.
Damn.
Is
Bro, some of the throws he made was like,
is Burrow not elite enough? Because
is that the question?
some of these calls that like they're not giving.
Oh
him.
yeah, they're not giving him the Jordan rules. No,
Like you know what I'm saying? Like we think about like
the Jordan calls.
like Josh Allen. If he gets hit in the face, they're calling that. Like
I don't know about Josh Allen being that, but I agree with you though.
But
I think
a lot of
Mahomes
other
gets hit in the face.
I think a lot of other quarterbacks they're calling that
Twice.
And for them to be so adamant about calling in from New York and getting calls right,
Yeah.
I just hate like when it's a primetime game and it's just like, dude, like if this happens again, like during the year to Mahomes, to anyone else, everyone's gonna be like, yo, if I was a Bengals fan, I would be like, yo, what about that call like you guys blatantly missed where he gets slapped in his face?
Yeah.
Another like, and it's not like something that's like, oh, I can see how they missed that. It's like, nah, you guys are being adamant about calling New York, getting calls right, like on the spot without coaches having to challenge or whatever it may be, and then we watch a game
I do think
that
there's
ends
the
like this.
slippery slope thing too, though. That if you make like every face mask reviewable, you make every, strike to the head reviewable.
But it's not reviewable. It's just getting it right.
No,
right?
I know, but I'm saying like if you can start, if New York can start calling down and replay assisting, like then what are the officials for? I mean, I understand they're out there to spot the ball, to make sure things are operating correctly, to call, fouls that they see, but like then we just don't need them calling anything in real time, and people in New York should call the game because you and I both know that in a lot of situations, short of like seeing a foot go down because you have the angle or knowing the minutia of the rules or whatever, like we on the couch know better than the refs in a lot of situations of what really happened.
Yeah, because
like,
we can see it. We have the views. We have the angles.
We see holds that don't.
Yeah.
That I thought that the Bengals got away with a hold on Hendrickson, or the Ravens got away with a hold on Hendrickson on their last drive of regulation, I believe it was. Early in the drive, I think it was 2nd and 10 or something like that. But I don't expect the refs to see every call. I'm sitting at home, I can see it. But we do have a lot of these situations popping up, and I think the problem is, and we've talked about this before, I think you and I making on this show, but like, I think the technology is outpacing the human beings on the field. The vantage points are outpacing human beings on the field. Like, I can remember like growing up. When did that guy from the Browns fumble? Remember that? On the goal line.
You're thinking of
Ernest
Don
Biner?
Beebe.
No, Biner.
Biner. I think
Yeah.
it was 87 or 88.
So I don't remember that directly, but I had to imagine that like sitting there and watching that replay or like watching any big replay at the end of a game, I can remember years ago when it felt more subjective to argue a call, even watching on TV.
What's a
Right.
catch? And the Shield, I think, likes that the human beings are still out there and getting outpaced by the technology and getting some things wrong.
I think that's
There's a
part of
sweet
the
spot.
drama.
There's a sweet
It's
spot.
good content.
It's very
It
good
is.
It's
content.
good content. In what other sport? I just say this, like, in what other sport do you get to like stop and argue online for as long as you do? I guess you do in basketball sometimes about the call, but it feels like the gravity of the calls in the NFL on the regular, like
They swing games. There's
and
just fewer possessions.
Yeah.
and there's a lot of talking around those things.
Yeah.
And I think the human element of it is fun sometimes, but then it's not so fun when you're like the Bengals and
When
you're
you're
like,
on the
we
other
should have
side.
another opportunity to go for 2. Or if you're the Vikings a couple weeks ago and you say, hey, I know it's not likely we go 80 yards,
Yeah, no, that's
but like
true.
give us a chance, I totally get it. If you're a
definitely-
Bengals fan, you feel robbed. But if you're a Bengals fan and you feel robbed, you should also feel robbed by your organization and your coach, because they are wasting this play from Joe Burrow. Like if they have the same record as the Ravens, I don't know if I'm saying Lamar's the MVP. I might be saying Joe's the MVP, which again makes the MVP award the most cloudy ass defined award of all time, where it's like, what does that really mean? Well, Lamar's on the best team and playing the best. Joe Burrow could be in that conversation if the Bengals would just figure out how to win some of these fucking games. He's not. If he does nothing different for the most, short of that one pick in the Baltimore game, I feel like for the most part he's been damn near perfect this year. They're wasting it.
All losses by one score except for the Philly game. Y'all remember the BCS where we picked national championship participants not based on merit, but based on a bunch of votes. We should bring that back for the 7th seed in both conferences.
That's a really good idea.
I'd rather see Cincy going into 2-loss Buffalo or 2-loss
Than Denver,
Pittsburgh
no offense.
than Denver. No offense.
And that
to
may be
Denver.
the way it
None
works out. Because
taken.
like, pull up the wild card standings, and this was what I was going to say was like, listen, I thought they might get to 5-5. They're not at 5-5, and you can cook them. I personally, I'm out.
Chargers and Steelers up next for them.
I am out on this argument. I'll come back to it in December if they make the playoffs and be like, yeah.
Before the season, it was over under 11.
10 and a half or
10.5.
something.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Still in play. Still in play.
It's crazy.
Wait, it's still in play. They
11
have
and
to
6.
They have to run the tables.
Have to run the
Yeah,
table.
they have to run the table.
Ooh.
But here's the deal. I was on a 4-6 team.
I will
if
if they run the table, I will buy a Joe Burrow and a Jamar Chase jersey.
and everybody would be like,
Heard
oh,
it here first.
like that's not a punishment. You're supposed to say I'll eat dog shit.
Hell no.
Well, will you take my bet now?
What's that?
2-1, they don't make the playoffs. You take whatever the Vegas bet is. I'll give you slightly better odds. So the point I was going to make was I was on.
No, because as soon as I take
I
that
can't make
bet,
it.
as soon as I take that bet, they make the playoffs.
They're not gonna-
That's how it happened.
The point I was going to make, and guys, maybe I kind of feel like this is a relevant point. There's somebody in this room that was 4-6 and went to the playoffs.
Was it you?
It was me.
Okay.
So all I'm saying is you can't blame me for thinking, hey, a team that good with we didn't have Joe Burrow. We had Big Dick Nick Foles.
Did you have 16 games or 17?
We had less games.
Even more.
Exactly.
Even more of a reason.
You know, so all I'm saying is all I'm saying, Nate. That's all I'm saying.
I feel you.
With their game next week, is that like do or die?
Oh, it's all do or die.
It's all
Here.
do or die.
It's all do or die. They can't. Okay, so Denver's at 5-4.
But they have the Chiefs.
Denver's got one of the toughest schedules remaining.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Bengals are better than the Colts. I think they're probably better than the
And
Jets.
the
Colts
Colts,
had the Bills.
Yep.
Colts have, so you're not out of it in the AFC right now.
5-5
which is
would have been
crazy.
cool though.
5-5 would have been crazy. 5-5 would have been scary. 5-5, you start talking about, oh, we can win the North.
Yep.
Like we can go on a run and win the North.
Makes that Patriots loss in week 1 that hurt that much more.
Yeah, but they don't win week 1.
I think you come out of this game though and say, Pittsburgh's pretty fucking good. Because would you rather be Baltimore or Pittsburgh right now? Be honest.
Baltimore.
You'd rather be Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Their defense is terrible.
But-
The guy under center is superhuman, dude.
Right.
There's nobody like him in the entire fucking league. I'm obsessed with watching him play. The offense is a lot of fun. I'm sure Deontay Johnson's going to help them a lot down the stretch. But I don't know if it's that easy an answer when the other side of the ball looks like that.
But if it's the Steelers, I feel like as a Steelers fan, every time the quarterback on their team gets the ball, it's like something terrible could happen.
Well, I think their biggest problem, we'll talk about it in a minute, is like scoring in the red zone.
Yeah.
I don't think Russell Wilson's a turnover machine right now. That's not what I think about. What I think about is like they actually have to play pretty good defense against some of these teams they play against. So that half of the ball has to hold up their end of the bargain. But Pittsburgh's defense, it's on a different planet. From Baltimore, I think misses Patrick Queen more than we thought. I think they miss Patrick Queen. I think they miss, certain guys that they let walk in ways that we probably don't even realize. But I think they miss Clowney. Even though they pressured at a high rate last night, like over the course of a season, it would have really helped to have him. And we can't ignore that the last guy was a good enough defensive coordinator to go get a head coaching job. Regardless of how you feel about what's going on in Seattle.
Took a lot of coaches with them.
And he took a lot of coaches with him. That shit matters. Your Browns lost some important coaches this offseason.
Yep.
Callahan was one of them. I'm talking about old man Callahan going to join his son in Cincinnati. So, like,
50 million brake pads.
coaches, yeah, exactly. Nice pull.
Yeah.
So a black sheep's better.
Oh.
Nate goes, yeah. That's good. I want to make sure I didn't forget anything from last night. What the fuck was Kirk Herbstreit talking about when he said to let the Ravens score?
Herbie's down bad at the moment, man.
Yeah.
Just got to give him a pass on that one.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot right
Yeah.
now. I think like I can imagine he's very busy.
Mm-hmm.
But
And his dog died.
that too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't even think about that the first.
Yeah.
I'm kind of off Twitter,
Yeah.
so I didn't see that. So dog died, huh?
Yeah. Had to
Rest in peace.
Had to put down the
Are
dog.
you fucking kidding me?
Like yesterday, yeah.
Shit.
And now you're giving him hell.
Well, no, I mean, but listen, things happen. That doesn't mean you let people score
That's fair.
with
That's
2 minutes to go in the game.
Yep.
It's 2nd and 10.
Yep.
So I just didn't agree with that.
Okay.
I also didn't know what the hit piece on Matabike was.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear that like 5 times? Every time he made like an incredible play, they were like, and this is the guy that's just sucked ass lately. I was like, what, dude? That guy's a dog. Now he went to bed. He woke up yesterday with 2 sacks. He went to bed with 5 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how quickly it changes in the NFL. We look at guys and we're like, oh, you don't have the numbers, the whole thing. With 3-piece changes everything. They come in bunches. He's a D tackle. He's got 5 sacks. He might be up near double digits again. So
How about this stat for you before we move on?
hit me, bro.
The Ravens, they were on a 42-game streak of having 100-plus rushing yards, and it came to an end last night. They had 99 because Lamar Jackson had to take a knee.
Damn, dude. Did you see what happened with Tua's passing total this weekend?
Oh, my God. We had said that
as soon as
that happened.
As soon as it happened, I go, oh, my God, somebody got fucked on a prop.
Hell yeah.
And people got absolutely killed on that.
Killed. Or you got to think about it. If you probably bet on Tua, you're a Tua hater. Like, if you bet the under, you thought you lost, and then you won. Why doesn't everyone think about that?
I didn't hear anything you said after you just cast an aspersion. You're just an aspersion
I said if you had the under, you're happy. You thought you lost a bet, and then that happened. And then, right, if you had Tua's under,
Most of those props.
Yeah, if you had Tua's under.
it's the same way.
Oh, I hadn't thought of it that way.
You already thought you lost, and then last play,
Yeah.
you're just like, yo, I won.
Yeah, no, I could see that. I would definitely be on the under, to your point.
The Ravens were one game shy of the NFL record. With that.
Wow.
With that.
But they did a pretty good job on Henry, but they also didn't use Henry a lot early, which also makes me wonder. Like, this isn't me just making shit up. Like, Henry could be dinged. Like, they know it. Like,
I think it's Thursday.
No, I know it's a short week. He
Yeah.
could be like, sometimes you're dinged without being injured when it's just like,
Yeah.
we're not going to give you the ball 25 times tonight.
Those 2 extra days matter.
And the days matter. And I did see him kind of jogging around looking a little heavy-footed last night, like after that touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wonder if they end up in situations where he's a little dinged, or he's tired and you can't give him the ball 25 times a game. Like, can they get out of the gates the same way? They got to work on how they start games if they're not going to be featuring him heavily. Keaton Mitchell's back. That day I damn near spit my drink out betting the Bengals, and then I saw Keaton Mitchell in the locker room in a uniform, and I was like, oh, fuck. So, yeah, a couple more things, uniforms?
Oh,
Ravens, spectacular.
awful.
Ravens lid is
disgusting.
disgusting.
Oh, no.
Wait.
Yeah, no.
You guys are trolling, right?
You guys don't have taste.
No.
yeah,
The
No, you
gold
guys
face
are-
mask.
okay.
Nolan
Nolan probably
is
liked
really
the
bad.
purple lid.
No,
too.
no.
You guys
logo
are
is awful.
quiet.
No.
You guys are really
It's
quiet.
What? Hold on. What? Nolan.
Oh, it's a race
Chris
thing.
is
I think
right
so.
with the lid. That's I
Yes.
typically love the matte colored looks, but that's a situation where the matte is a bad choice.
No.
What?
No, it doesn't.
beautiful.
What is
it
going
didn't-
on
it didn't
right
match,
now?
bro?
What is going on? I told you, I already like the non-matching.
Dude, I'm not surprised you guys like that shitty lid. Why
like
are you
the
surprised
not
we
matching
don't like it?
helmet? Because, we never see, I like the gold face mask. Everyone having, a colored face mask, matching, the outlining of the numbers in your jersey.
Yeah.
I think that was fire.
I like
okay,
the gold.
so I
So
think
dope.
I think a couple things. Number one, the lid. I've spoken on it.
Bad movie. It's a bad movie
Yeah.
uniform.
They're like an any given Sunday team. That's like the
You guys are
Falcons.
crazy.
I'm not as bad on the uni
Agreed.
as you. It's the lid. It's the lid and
What would,
tying it
what
together.
would you change?
What would I change?
Yeah.
I'd say just wear the black helmet
Probably-
would look good too. Like
I don't know what helmet you wear there.
Well, get rid of the alternate logo. You can even drop the dopey horn.
You mean that futuristic bee that like that what they would have thought a bee would have looked like in 2010 if they made it in the 80s? Like
Correct,
that's what that
terrible. But also this different cacao is
that thing's not
so
great
good.
either.
Yeah, go back. Just use your regular logo.
I do want to say this: the Ravens are not as scary in purple. That is a real thing, dude. If you go play them at the bank and they're wearing black and they're turning the lights on and off, like there's a certain aura. I think sometimes you watch the Ravens, this defense now, and you're like, I don't know, they're playing a pretty good defense. It's because they're wearing black. And then they wear purple, and I'm like, these guys aren't very good. These guys aren't that good on defense.
The chat is surprised that Nate likes the Ravens uniform.
You are?
But clowned that the Eagles Kelly Green last week.
Oh God, say no more.
Well, he's
That's
just
right.
going to take the opposites. He's DA, devil's advocate, DA.
Because I
Yeah,
don't
well,
like.
Nate,
I
Nate
don't
walked
like
that
aesthetic.
back. He was wearing Kelly Green.
Because
I didn't walk anything back. Just because I wore a shirt doesn't mean I like the
You
Kelly
definitely-
Green jerseys.
you
Just
can't-
like you don't like the different color helmets. If the helmets doesn't match the jersey perfectly,
You trying to steal
I
my
don't
voice?
like it.
You
I
trying to
don't
steal my
like
voice?
it.
Here's how it goes. Oh, I quietly dislike the Matt helmet as well, but the other people on the show take the other side. So the whites, the Bengals whites, that's their best look. The black pants, the white top, that's their best look in my opinion.
Orange, white, black. Yep.
And I just don't like the Matt helmet. That's all. They don't look as scary. All right, we've beaten that game to death, and it should be beat to death.
Last thing, just real fast. Someone in the chat said, "What about Belichick on the Bengals next year? Do you like?"
Ooh,
Nah.
it kind of fits it kind of fit like cheap ownership where they're like they don't want to spend money. Bill doesn't want to spend money. Nobody wants to spend any money. They're going to be practicing in a cardboard box. But they got Joe Burrow, and he could fix the defense, you know?
Historic
Exactly.
franchise.
Oh, man, that's pretty good.
Man.
That's pretty good.
The
I got
logo is a B.
Shout out
like
to the
Bill.
chat.
shout out to the chat, bro. For real, dude. For real.
Shout out to BetMGM for letting us be live every Friday and Monday.
Yeah, you take a tremendous risk doing that. You really do.
As you know, Chris.
Oh, yeah. Hold on one second.
LeBron James.
LeBron James. As you know, we've teamed up with BetMGM. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all our picks, and we'll have special offers for you listeners each week. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code GREENLIGHT, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Number 1, download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code GREENLIGHT. Number 2, deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use bonus code GREENLIGHT when you sign up. We made it. Every time I read those ads, I say we made it. You know? Storm is over. Storm is over now.
And we made it to our MRP this weekend.
But before we get to the MRP, can I give out an America's team?
Please.
The LSU Tigers. Go Tiger. I know I came home from Tuscaloosa last year, and I had I had this magical Bama experience, and I bought a Bama flag, and I'm sending my kids to Bama and all that shit. But you would have to be insane to go down to Baton Rouge this weekend and wear crimson.
I don't know. I think you might see a fair number of red hats.
I think I'm gonna go neutral. Yeah, I understand. I said crimson.
Cool.
You should wear Alabama stuff and wear a GoPro, Chris, for content.
I don't think I wanna. I think I wanna mind my business and enjoy my time
You can mind your
Baton-
business and just see what happens.
No. This isn't a content trip. So America's team, the city of Baton Rouge.
You at all nervous that there's going to be a live tiger in Baton Rouge?
I'm psyched about the live tiger in Baton Rouge.
Going to be in a cage,
Bro.
going to be moved around at the stadium.
I was going to come in as Tiger King this morning if the Bengals won and talk about LSU. I had this whole thing. I was going to take my kid's stuffed animal tiger, the whole thing. By the way, this morning, did you see there was a sinkhole on the way?
Yeah.
You know what I did?
Went right
I was in a
into
rush
it.
to get here.
Uh-huh.
Instead of driving around, my wife was like, hey, you might want to take the long way. There's a sinkhole by the police department.
Yeah.
You know what I did? I just tried to drive right past the police department. I wanted to see the sinkhole.
Yeah. Did you?
Yeah, and hard to see.
They detoured people off the sinkhole road onto the bridge road, and then a truck got stuck under the bridge.
Bro, and there was a fucking accident
Bad
on
one.
250. Bad
Yeah.
one. Dump truck on
Bad
its
one.
side.
Yeah.
Be careful out there today, guys and gals. Okay, we're going MRP.
Yeah. We want
Game of the week.
Steelers Commanders. Most random player again. Drop your most random players in our tweet that you'll see after this show. You guys got any?
Most
Yancey
random.
Thig Pen.
Huh?
Yancey Thig
Nancy
Pen.
Thig Pen. Thig Pen or Thig Pen?
Thig Pen.
Which one is it?
Thig Pen, I
Okay.
guess is how it's spelled.
Did
Yeah.
you say Pen?
Yeah, like I got a friend called Ben, and I say Ben, and everybody's like, why you call him Ben?
Like a trash bin.
Yeah. All right, sorry, Ben.
That's not.
Ben?
Who do we got in this? We're naming random.
Steelers and Commanders.
Rock Cartwright, great fullback for the formerly Redskins.
Oh, that's pretty good. I like
Can't say
John
that.
Riggins.
Can't
He's
even
not
say
random.
formerly. You really can't say that.
But if they didn't play for the Commanders, how can you
I
not
think
say
you
that?
can say anything you want now.
Terrence Knighton
Terrence Knighton. That's a good one.
for the Commanders.
Big pot roast.
Pot roast.
Chris Cooley. I've named him already. Chris Samuel. Remember Chris Samuel? Curtis Samuel. Chris Samuel. Curtis
Chris
Samuel is a
Samuel.
wide receiver. Chris Samuel, number 60.
Santana Moss.
Great tackle.
Maybe Chris Samuels?
Chris Samuels.
Yeah,
Remember
that's what it is.
Remember Santana Moss?
Yeah.
Santana Moss. Who doesn't remember Santana Moss? You know what I'm saying?
Brian St. Pierre. Bakari Rambo.
Bakari Rambo.
Chris
One of the coolest
Fumatu
jerseys for-
Ma'afala?
Are we only do? I got to do some Steelers.
Pierre
Yeah, that's
Saint
Steelers right
Garcon. He played for the Commanders, right?
Charlie Batch.
Jesse James.
Brett Kiesel.
Brett Keys.
Brett Kiesel. Now
Kiesel.
Kiesel to me is
Kiesel.
he's probably now we've named a couple guys who aren't random, but Brett Kiesel is a dog.
Didn't Kyle have a
was-
great Kiesel story, like where they went against each other?
I think so.
And he like tried. Kyle tried to ask him to get helped up or something.
And Kiesel
Yeah, I
gave him
think
the
he's-
fake
yeah,
eye.
I don't
yeah.
know-
Hey, Kiesel
I don't
could-
know. I don't know if Kyle got like pushed over a pile or something.
That's
and
what it was.
Wasn't happy about it.
Yeah,
and Kiesel was just like, "Yup."
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
They were mean.
I was
though.
like, "Did you just do that?" He's
those,
like,
those
"Yep."
guys were mean. Those guys were mean. Okay, so let's talk about the Steelers, shall we? The game of the week, Pittsburgh, Washington. I'm really excited about this damn game. I am really excited about this game. All right, so the first thing we need to understand is the Steelers think they're good. Okay, that to me is that's a good sign. Them being buyers. You think Mike Tomlin and them know when to be buying and when not to be buying over the years? Like they know. They think they're good. They bought twice. Both sides of the ball. Week 7 to 8, Russell Wilson's first two starts, Steelers were 9th in overall efficiency. Their .086 EPA per play mark across those two games would slot 6th in the league across the entire season behind Tampa, .094, and ahead of San Francisco, .068. So to put things in perspective, they've been balling out with Russ in the lineup. You think about how efficient Tampa and San Francisco's offense has been this season, and that's who the Steelers have been since Russ took over. So when you pair that with the defense, the coach, the staff they have, the culture, like I'm kind of in on them staying relevant this year.
The 6-2 record,
The 6-2 record's a big one, right?
hard to ignore.
It's hard to ignore that. You know, Mike Williams, Steelers do not pick well in the fifth. They barely pick at all in the fifth. You go back to I think Jesse James, who I named today, was the last guy they got in the fifth. And that was like 2015. It's been like 10 years. they really don't pick in the 5th anyways. They for some, it must be an inside joke there where they're just like, and generally the 5th round is not where you find like loads of talent, but they parted ways with a 5. I think this is well worth it for him. I think also what you're getting in this guy is like you got a scorned wide receiver. Hell hath no fury like a scorned wide receiver. Like a wide receiver scorned. Okay? And you got a guy who just got made fun of because he couldn't run on the right side of the red line, and his trade got parsed on live TV by his quarterback, and you got to think about where this guy's been. He played most of his career in a factory of sadness.
Tomlin about to love this dude up. This dude's about to make plays for Tomlin.
Because what you got is a guy who's going to be standing at attention. He's going to be like, bro, I'm here. I'm in Pittsburgh. Holy shit. Like, this is the NFL. I spent my whole career in L.A. with the Chargers, which we all know what the Chargers do week in and week out, pre-Harbaugh, and then the Jets circus. So he's going to be psyched to be there. You're going to get his best ball, and the deep ball has become a thing. The jump ball, that's what they have in mind making this move. They also have a size advantage with him that you can kind of manipulate. Where Pickens effectively has an athleticism, a size advantage, a range advantage on a lot of guys. Well, sometimes your second corner not going to be that big. This guy's got a big advantage over him, and with Russ throwing the moon ball, that's big. They looked at DK, so obviously, and Christian Kirk as well. Christian Kirk got hurt in Jacksonville. Otherwise, they probably would have made a move for Christian Kirk. But 2 of those 3 guys are big guys. So it's obvious to me what they have in mind. And on the other side of the ball, the Preston Smith thing, scheme fit not working out in Hafley's system. Steelers wanting depth. Preston Smith is going to be especially helpful in the run game. You have to remember something about the Steelers. They came into camp with 4 deep. They came into camp with Watt, Highsmith, Herbig, and Marcus Golden, who retired. So this you're kind of like, why? They got so many edge guys. They really don't. They've had that Moon guy has had to play some base snaps. And in the run game, Herbig's not real big. So if Highsmith goes down for a week or he's tired, you want to put in a guy that can set the edge. Preston Smith has had a hell of a career. I mean, he's at like 67 sacks or something like that, 68 sacks, never missed a game, 150 games. The guy, I mean, he's got one of the better long arm complexes in the game. I think he can still win rushes. He can still set the edge. So, again, another guy that's going to feel right at home here. They make the moves, and they're coming off a bye. Tomlin's very good off a bye. They're playing a rookie QB. Tomlin's very good against rookie QBs. The conversation I think we're having in general.
25 and 6.
25 and 6.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. This is their schedule the rest of the way. They could really use this game. Commies, Ravens twice, Bengals twice, Browns twice, Philly and Kansas City. Now, here's what they have working for them. Look up their division record last year. I think they were 5-1, 4-2, something like that. And that was the Kenny Pickett-led Steelers for part of the year, and then part of it they're beating the Bengals with somebody else. I think, but the whole point is they weren't as good as they are this year, and they ran through the division last year. So they got to feel pretty good with all their division games ahead of them. They could absolutely use this game. They went 5-1 in division last year. So when the Commanders have the ball, because that's where all eyes are going to be on Jayden Daniels, right? This is probably the biggest test that they've had from a pass rush standpoint. I think Cleveland's probably right there too, but that game just never – they jumped Cleveland. They were out in front. I think Pittsburgh can keep this game in phase. Watt and Highsmith versus Coleman and Wiley. There is a history where Watt's played Wiley, and I don't know, Nolan. I remembered Wiley doing a decent job. I remember for some reason coming out of the game. Yeah, and saying – hey, Wiley held his own against TJ Watt. So that's one matchup you got to watch. Obviously, Coleman on the other side. And, Commanders are going to send lots of chip help. And that's one thing. If you look at last week, TJ Watt and Highsmith switched sides a couple times. That's not something they usually do. I don't know if it's something where they're going to try to find the matchup a little bit better for Watt, or if they're trying to move him to keep the chip help off him. But this week, that's going to be a thing. And then Biotish against Hayward. That's a big one. Biotish has been a huge pickup for them. You talk about guys that he brought from Dallas, like Dorrance Armstrong, the center. Like, not only are you building your team with cultural pieces that you know are good culture pieces, but they're also good players, and you're robbing them from in division. He's been a big one for them. I don't think
Andy's probably
he's given up a sack all year.
he's probably huge for Jayden Daniels.
Huge
Like-
for Jayden Daniels.
Like helping him point out and helping him get acquainted with the NFL coming from college.
Man, that's why I thought Mitch Morse was going to help the Jags this year. I guess center can only do so much, but like he's given up just under a pressure a game, and Hayward deserves some love. At 35 years old, he's still rolling around 30 pressures, 7 quarterback hits, 4 sacks on the season. The guy is still a problem, and so you got to take care of those guys up front. And the whole thing comes down to, when you watch the Commanders, don't you feel like they're always on schedule? Don't you feel like Cliff's doing such a great job, Jayden's doing such a good job on early downs, that they're always on schedule and they're hard to get off the field on third down? The Steelers are one of the best team in the league on first and second down defensively. So it all comes down to, hey, the Commanders are still damn good in 3rd and 7, but I'd rather have them in 3rd and 7 than 3rd and 4. And so a lot of it is whether it's zone read, screens to the perimeter, quick game, a lot of it is windows. And I think TJ Watt is as good as anybody at obscuring those windows on the edge. I'm talking about a guy with great ball skills. You're talking about tip passes. That's going to be part of the game plan for them. Get your hands up, tip a pass, get a turnover. They're very ball aware up front for a front, and it starts with TJ Watt. So, what's your plan for McLaurin and Ertz? How does Joey Porter Jr. match up against McLaurin? How does he match up against the physical corner? I think this is going to be really fun. And is Brian Robinson back? Are we sure about that? Do we know yet?
He's trending toward being back is the word.
Interesting conversation, because you have the Eagles coming up on a short week in a game that no doubt means more. And I know Lattimore played, as we get to the other side of the ball, their newly acquired cornerback from New Orleans, who makes a big difference, especially in the Eagles games. Lattimore changes the whole game, the dynamic of the game against the Eagles. I mean, you talk about having to worry about A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. It helps to have a guy like that. So the question is, he played last week on a hamstring, kind of been a little slow going in practice this week. I don't know if he was a DNP or he was limited.
He was out last week.
He was out last week with a hamstring.
And DNP yesterday.
That's what I was saying yesterday, Nolan. Sorry. So he was out last week, and he's DNP. The question I have is, Thursday is a short week. You're playing a team in division. Do you rush this guy out on the field, especially against a group of receivers like this?
Not with a hamstring.
Not with a hamstring. And so I don't know if he plays or not, but that's something that I would be thinking about. And only the Commanders know where that hammy is. Only he knows. But if it's risky, I just wouldn't. And when the Steelers have the ball, I think you look at that Baltimore tape. I think you try to run the rock. I think the Commanders' defense has been really scrappy this year. They played really hard, and honestly, two guys that need to get shouted out: Dorrance Armstrong and Fowler, Dante Fowler. And Nolan, I had you look up their pressure stats yesterday. I'm going to pull those up real quick because I don't think people realize how good a year these guys are having here. I mean, you talk about Dante Fowler. People left him for dead. Let's pull these up real quick. I'm scrolling back, Nolan.
With the win,
Sorry.
Jayden would have won 8 of his first 10 starts. Only 2 rookies to do that: Dak Prescott and Ben Roethlisberger.
Damn.
Wow.
So Dante Fowler, 26 pressures, 6.5 sacks, 1 hit, 12.2% pass rush win rate. That's very good for a guy that people left for dead as a rusher in the NFL. He kind of, to me, was in that curious class of Ngakwe's, where it's like, why didn't this guy have a job? Like, or why isn't he more of a hot commodity for a team? Like, third rushers don't grow on trees, and for them, he hadn't been a third rusher. He's been on the field a ton. Dorrance Armstrong, 30 pressures, 5 sacks, 7 hits, 19.4% pass rush win rate. Good for you, bro. Like, you talk about a guy that was buried in depth in Dallas and, got a lot of opportunities to play, but wasn't a centerpiece. Nobody's thinking about Dorrance Armstrong, thinking about Parsons and D-Law. And so for this guy to have a damn near 20% pass rush win rate as a run-stopping left end, that's damn impressive. Among defenders with at least 50 pass rush snaps, Armstrong ranks 10th in win rate. So these two guys deserve their props. You're going to have to get them blocked. Broderick Jones is a guy that makes me nervous. And if you look back at last week, the whole key is going to be, as I said, running the ball. The Giants did it. They did it the whole first half.
Go Giants.
They went away from it, but they did it the whole first half. The first half of the Giants game, the Giants had 1 3rd and long, 3rd and 8. It came in the second quarter, late in the second quarter, end of the second quarter. The previous 5 third downs combined for 8 yards to gain. The longest third down was 3rd and 3. So it was a bunch of 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. You can stay on schedule against this defense. And so that would be the plan for me. I also think one thing that the Steelers have to pay attention to is their troubles in the red zone. I can guarantee you over the bye week that was the number one topic in that building was like, why can't we score in the red zone? They've been bad all year. It got worse when Russell came in. And I kind of wonder if what they need to do is put in Fields in some of these red zone packages. I know it sounds like very Joe fan of me, but I'm saying, no, we've talked about this.
Yes.
We've talked about this very thing.
Taysom, why don't you just use him as like Taysom Hill? Like you said, Russell kind of struggles in the red zone. Once you get to the red zone, if you could put a package in with Justin Fields and you guys could be lights out with it, it's one of those things too.
Or have him on the field.
See if it works.
Yeah.
See if it works, and then for the back half of the season, every other defensive coordinator has to waste a few minutes in practice every day when they play you guys because Justin Fields might get in to run a package.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. This is something that we were on earlier is like if they struggle in the red zone, the quarterback run game is such a factor down there. You got a guy on your team that can do that. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you put him in automatically when you get in the red zone, but there are situations where maybe he's split out. Maybe he's the halfback. Maybe it's Wildcat.
Yep.
Maybe
and Russell could catch a pass.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
But the point is, I watched this game last week, and the Giants had trouble with one thing especially in the run game. I mean, they had trouble with a lot of things in the run game, but quarterback run, the read option. So, I don't know if that's in the cards for Pittsburgh, but over the bye week, I'm sure everything was on the table. So,
of note, I'm going to show you the best version of these fugly uniforms, okay?
Show me.
DC's going with the all burgundy against Pittsburgh.
Damn, okay, that's pretty nice.
That's Trips burgundy. Helmet,
It would look
shirts,
better if there were stripes
pants.
on the
Love
pants.
it.
Although I didn't mind the yellow pants.
Just too much.
It's a lot.
The Commanders at the top is awesome. But
Awful, yeah.
No, but the two lines are the awful
He says
part.
awesome.
Well,
Like
they're
a
trying to
color
make it
rush
look like
situation.
a military outfit.
Yeah,
you know?
but they shouldn't.
Talk about burgundy. That's a lot of burgundy.
Color rush.
So, one more shout out to the commies as a group. Dan Quinn's got them rushing the passer. We talked about them. I think it tells you something. There were buyers in the secondary. And by the way, it's interesting, too, to know who was after Marshawn Lattimore. I had heard a report that Lattimore was in the running in L.A. with the Chargers, the Chiefs. There were a couple teams after him, but he lands in D.C. And for me, like Dan Quinn and these guys making that move is, hey, we can fix the rush. It's already fixed. We can fix the rush with good coverage. I really do. I've said this before. If you need to make a decision between a lockdown corner and a great defensive end in the draft or whatever, even as a rusher, I'm taking the corner. Like, I think the corners can make mediocre pass rushers great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's always true with rushers making coverage, better because of the way that passing offenses can access a quick game, can pick their matchups. Like, the game's different offensively now. And so I think adding a corner is a big deal for a group that's already 6th in sack rate and 10th in pressure rate. And going to the season, you were like, it's just the tackles and a bunch of guys. Pretty damn impressive. Another thing about Lattimore is it can move my guy, Sangra Steel, Nolan, back inside.
Let's just call him Mike.
Mike.
Yeah, no G in there.
Everybody know what we're
I
talking
like
about.
putting a G in there, though. Sangra Steel. It's just a wild name, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. All right, so what's the next game?
Lions and Texans, Sunday night.
Man, hey, can we review? Somebody just said Travis Hunter in the
Oh, yeah, Bo,
Can we roast the fuck out of Bo?
Macon hasn't heard this
That was
take.
wild.
Oh my God.
Bo on Monday said that Travis Hunter is a likely second-round pick.
Yeah, I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also said he shouldn't be in the Heisman contention,
Yep.
I believe.
No,
And the Kelly Greens are mid. That's what I'm
Yeah.
getting.
Did he throw Shador in there too? I think
He did, I don't think he. I don't remember him mentioning Shador.
I don't think
but
he mentioned Shador.
I think he has extreme Colorado hate. That dates back to Fax and the King. And
Oh, it dates back to the Fax and the King.
yes.
What
that-
was happening during the Fax and the King days?
That was
he
like
is
when
not
Colorado
a fan
started.
Of Colorado, not a fan of Deion Sanders, not
Listen,
a fan of everything.
Colorado might not be as good as people think, and we might have gotten swept up in that whole thing, but Travis Hunter is the fucking real deal, dude.
yes. Yes.
And I think
he is.
Shador is probably the real deal, too, but I don't know
Yes.
college quarterbacks like that. Obviously. I'm only the one that told you Jayden was going to be the best quarterback in the class.
I said that too.
No, I know. There's some real sharps in here.
I thought the Colts should take Ryan Leaf over Peyton Manning.
Did you?
But I was a young
Back in the day?
Young
Did
guy.
you really?
Yeah.
Do you remember thinking that?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. What's the wrongest you've ever been about
That
a
one.
quarterback?
That one.
Yeah.
I was really wrong about Greg Oden.
Oh, were you really?
I feel like he was dominant. He just got injured.
Yeah.
Sam Bowie got picked before Jordan, right?
Yeah.
I was wrong about Trayvon over Hutch. I thought they'd all be good, but I thought Trayvon was going to be the best out of the group.
Thought Kellen Moore was going to be a stud.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
He is.
As a coach?
He's as a coach.
What do you mean? He is. He is, bro. He's got the Eagles humming. Now, if they could just stop doing stupid shit, we'll talk about them in the B block of this show.
Najib is right. He says Bo hates DBs and wide receivers, and since Travis plays both, he really hates them.
That's true. It's like
Really
double.
good point.
So Detroit, Houston, man. By the way, I got so somebody called me this week. Yeah, like 15 fucking people called me. At least 15 people called me this week. I'm not. I'm gonna change my damn number, dude.
That's not a lot of phone calls.
For people that know me personally,
Okay.
Who would
please limit the phone calls and texts. Seriously, I've had it. Okay, but I just want to find this young lady's name that I was talking to about this.
talking to a young lady?
Well, yeah, no, she
phone.
works for ESPN. So yeah, I don't know how to say that woman's name.
There you go.
Does that sound
No,
better
no,
or
no.
worse?
I'm more referring to,
Yeah.
just like a.
What if she was like, I'm not fucking young?
Herm asked in the chat if the Lions ticket office is calling you back.
Okay, no, they haven't called me back because they found Zadarius Smith, who was me like 10 years ago. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, honestly. Okay, so plus the drug testing thing.
Yeah.
This is from Kaylin Caller, senior NFL writer, ESPN. She called me about doing an interview about the Lions hangover, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about doing a story, but it didn't really hold up last week." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, gambling wise, it did." And she was like, "Oh, but we had a long conversation about the hangover and all the things that she was wondering if like." What might it? She was kind of looking at things analytically. She was like, "What are the metrics that I can assign to justify why the Lions hangover thing is happening?" And this is why. She said, "Listen, I know the thing blew up last week with the Titans beating the Patriots, but per ESPN research, and this is through 7 games, so before the Titans game, this season teams that played the Lions have failed to cover the spread by a combined 115 points. That's an average of minus 19.2 a game. Below is a chart comparing that through 7 games to other teams in the Super Bowl era. Worst cover margin per game split by previous opponent through 7 games of a season in Super Bowl era since 1966 per game. 1977 Browns minus 20.3. 2024 Lions minus 19.2. 2000 Bills minus 19.1. 2002 Bills. So they're top 3 all time in beating the shit out of teams and being able to predictably assign who's going to get blown out the next week. Like that to me is the gambling part of it was almost more surprising than what I was just seeing looking at it. And so her thing was like, why is this happening? Like, why do you think it's that? And as I talked through it, I actually thought of a couple things. Like, number one, if you go play the Lions, it's physical anyways. But, like, think about playing on that turf.
Yep.
Did you ever play on that Detroit turf?
Yep.
Bro, that
No.
turf is crazy. And so, like, if you play the Lions on the road, that's even worse. That turf's, like, really hard.
Hard.
It's like playing on concrete.
Stupid little black pebbles in your eyes and your mouth.
Yep, for sure. And every step hurts. And so I think there's that. I also think there's the fact that everything's play action pass. Not everything, but like if you were to build a case for why teams are beat up the next week, how much more play action are they doing than everybody else? That's a physical rep for all involved. It's a physical rep for the backers who are taking a step and cutting hard to get back. It's a physical rep for the defensive line who's kind of playing a run play before they transition. I think their defense is really physical. Like you talk about, look back at the LA playoff game last postseason. They absolutely, I mean, that was one of the most physical games I saw all year. And they weren't even good last year on defense. So there's a whole lot of reasons as we talk about it. And I also think one that has nothing to do with fatigue, it has nothing to do with getting beat up, is they have some of the most dynamic offensive plays in the league. They're going to find your weakness and exploit it. Ben Johnson's going to find your weakness and exploit it. He has the personnel everywhere to do it, and he also has the game planning skills to do it. And so what happens when we find your weakness? What happens the next week? Anybody?
You go try to shore it up.
Well, you go try to shore it up, but the team that you're playing next is going to go right at your weakness.
Copycat
That felt like math class in high school where you're only half listening and the teacher's really nice not to say like wrong, just yeah, sort of.
I just don't think you got it. But here's you see what I'm saying? But here's the thing. It's you play the Lions, you get exposed. You get beat up, you get exposed. The very next week, the next team's going to look at you and say, "Oh, that nickel corner."
Expose the same thing.
Exactly. That you got it. You're like Chad Johnson on Inside the NFL. Bill like quizzes him and like gives him the answers before we go on set. And Chad's like, "Kellen Moore, coach."
To your point on play action, Chris, the Lions lead the league in play action percentage at 37%.
So there's just a lot of things physically that they do to you. I think there's also a lot of things schematically that they do to you for instance, if you got a corner that can't tackle, and this happens a lot in the NFL where there's a guy that everybody in your building knows he doesn't tackle, he doesn't want to tackle, he's not a bad tackler, he just doesn't want to tackle. The Lions go find that guy. And then the next week, that next team is going to find that guy too. And so the point is, the Lions will expose you. They'll beat you up. I think the hangover thing, whether it bears out the rest of the year, has been really fun to look at these numbers and say, damn, they are historically good if you're looking at it from a gambling standpoint as like a signal for what happens the next week to the team that they play. I mean, it's crazy. So now the team is Green Bay. They're in the bye. That doesn't count. But we'll see if this picks back up later. I just thought it was interesting that somebody called me about the Lions hangover, and I was talking to him for like 45 minutes on the phone.
About gambling.
Mostly.
In 2023, Ford Field installed a softer, safer core monofilament.
Well, here we go. So that doesn't matter now.
FYI.
That doesn't matter now.
For me, this is a Nolan game
because
I want to know about Nico Collins and Will Anderson.
Yep.
I
so
think
Nico Collins, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Not yet designated to return from IR. He hasn't practiced yet this week, so could be a long shot, but it is possible they could activate him and he's ready for game day. But
I don't think
not
he's
yet been in
gonna-
the
I
fold
don't
for
know.
them. And then Will Anderson and Foley Fatukasi have yet to practice this week. Those are two key starters in the D line for them.
Oh,
Well, here's a big one because I was going to come into this game and say, hey, like this is a game where Houston's D line has to all of a sudden become you got to take the game over. You know, if your offensive line sucks, you're having problems at left guard, CJ's under siege, he's missing things. Like, I think his eyes are going down to the rush, and with good reason. It is as bad as anywhere in the league. Like, I think their interior three have given up as much pressure as anybody in the league. And I don't know if that bears out statistically, but somebody could tell me. You sitting at home with a fucking next-gen stats account, maybe you could tell me. But I think the interior three of that group and the way they pick up games, they fail to pick up games. Right now, it's kind of a disaster looking at their passing game. especially without Nico Collins in the game. When he goes to Nico Collins on third down, I think they're 64% conversion. Like, so that's better than the best team in the league, and obviously it's one player, but I'm talking about when he goes to him. You taking into account the incompletions, the whole thing. When he targets Nico Collins on third down, they're going to get a fucking first down 6.5 out of 10 times. That guy not being in your offense really matters, but the offensive line, as we saw against the Jets, it's one of the reasons that we picked the Jets, cannot protect. And so, you know, you thought Joe Mixon coming back, once you get the run game going, it might help. Like, the run game's going, and it's not helping. And so they have problems offensively right now, and they got to shore them up, and it might take some time. And personally, I don't think the passing game is that dynamic. That's just me watching it. I'm no expert I'm not a passing game coordinator in the NFL, but when I look at the spacing and just kind of the things that they do in the passing game, I don't think it's very dynamic. And so right now, you've got problems offensively. What do you need to do as a team? You need to lean on that defensive line. And if Will Anderson's not up, that's a big deal. And if Fadukasi's not up, that's a big deal. But you know what else would have been a big deal? If the guys that they didn't have in the middle of the field, Azeez Al-Shaair and Jimmy Ward, did not make it back this week. So I do think that will help, having those guys back. It seems like they're going to get both those guys back, right? So
yeah, Azeez definitely said he's excited to be back. And Jimmy Ward is practicing.
And so this game, as you put it, Megan, is all about the injury and the additions. Like, because for Detroit, I look at the additions that they have coming in. Zadarius Smith, who they gave the whole week off because he comes on a bye week. He's going to play 18 games. He's going to play 19 games this year, I think. He seriously, it worked out that way. I was listening to something where, like
I feel like there's a player every year, or at least the past 2 or 3 years, it's been traded and they have to play.
They have to play all the games.
Yeah.
Which, if I'm a defensive lineman, I'm kind of like, oh, you want to? I get to play, 18 games on the season,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. I'm going to get more sacks. I'm going to get more production. That's going to be better for me when I go to the table. Now, Detroit has a choice at the end of the season. I think they can let him walk, or they can retain him for like $5 million in salary. But I kind of think this guy's going to be worth it. I think he's going to be worth it even if Aiden Hutchinson gets back. I think the one thing, you look at Zadarius Smith, he's been rushing opposite Myles Garrett. That's going to change a little bit. There's no Myles Garrett in Detroit. You know, there are Myles Garrett's on the sideline.
And he will be playing 18 games this season.
He's going to be playing 18 games, so they gave him the week to rest. I think that's going to help a lot. They've had to blitz more. I don't think that's sustainable. You got him for a 4. I kind of like it. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. We were pretty early on the, hey, Big Z needs to go to Detroit thing, and for them to do so many of these teams we see standing pat or not making the move that they absolutely need to make. This was the perfect move, and they made it. So shout out to Brad Holmes. And then Pascal's missed a few games. He had a mass in his shoulder that turned out not to be cancerous, but that's a guy they absolutely need back. So he's coming back. So the additions for sure. Here it is. Interior, the Texans' offensive line is allowed a combined 20.5 sacks. That's crazy.
Wow.
I think the Texans miss, like, Fant, dude. I think, honestly, like, the setup they had last year, which they thought was like a piecemeal setup where they had to move Titus Howard around, they were probably like, wait till we get everything square next year and guys are playing in their preferred slots, and it's actually gotten worse. So I do think it's a coordinator problem. I think it's a coordinator problem. I think it's an offensive line coach problem. I think it's a personnel problem. But you can't tell me that group should look as bad as it looks. So that's why it's not just personnel for me. They are failing to set things up for CJ Stroud this year in year 2. We'll see how long that goes. Lions also get Jameson Williams back. They scored 76 points in 2 weeks without him. And by the way, Jahmyr Gibbs, his EPA per carry of .27 is 2 times Henry's .13 rate and is the best in the NFL this century. That's from The Athletic.
For Jameson Williams, Jared Goff averaged 12.6 yards a completion in his first 6 games, obviously with Jameson Williams.
Yeah.
Dropped to 7.7 a completion against Tennessee and Green Bay.
Damn, dude. I just – the one thing I wanted to say, Reed, talking about Jared Goff, 11 for 13 over the middle of the field last week. That to me, again, in the rain, in that weather, Like, he understood the assignment. They understood the assignment. They called a game around him to not make it like, hey, we don't need you to fucking air it out all day. Like, look at the winds blowing sideways. The rain's coming down. They defined the script to the game, and he peppered the middle of the field. 11 of 13, 99 yards. There's nobody better in the NFL at throwing over the middle of the field right now. And so, like, that's going to be the whole key this week for them. It's going to be, can Houston's defensive line take over the game? Like, Hunter's got to have a big game. Autry's got to have a big game. If Will Anderson plays, he's got to have a big – like, these guys have to – at some point during the season, you got to look around the building and say, hey, I know we were supposed to be the greatest show on turf this year. We had Stephon Diggs. He tore his ACL. Nico Collins has been missing. Tank Dell hasn't had the year we hope he have. CJ Stroud's missing throws because he's under siege in the backfield. Well, guess what? If you want to win a damn Super Bowl or you want to be in the bowl, you're going to have to play dominant on defense up front. And that's why we drafted Will Anderson, and that's why we brought in Danielle Hunter, and that's why Autry's here and all these guys. So to me, that is the thing that if the Houston want to get where they're going, they have to, and it might be unfair to ask these guys to do, but they have to take their play to the next level, like the next level. To win a game like this, you have to get Jared Goff off the spot. If you don't do it, he's going to pick you apart. And so judging by the poll, do you take the Texans or the Lions in this one? 91% of people, when I just looked a second ago in the chat, said you take the Lions. This is going to be a big hold your nose and bet the Texans week if you're just playing the stinky side. I'm not saying I'm doing it. I haven't decided to do that yet. We'll talk about it on the gambling show. But, like, everybody's going to be on the Lions. It probably scares you a little bit if you're a Lions fan.
Hey, do you remember Houston and Buffalo in Houston? Houston won by 3. Josh was 9 of 30. Buffalo didn't turn the ball over. They only got sacked once and only put up 20 points.
That's right.
And Nico and Stephon were both in that game. But they can hold it together, but to your point, the front seven needs
the
to be
Bills
effective.
the Bills game I remember being really disappointed in the fact that Josh had to go to Mac Hollins in like 100 situations. I think that was the final straw when it came to going out and getting a guy. I also think were they missing Shakir that game, or was it just I think he was out there as like a decoy almost. I think he was out there kind of just running in place. They barely got him the ball.
No targets.
But the point is, Josh didn't play well. And when you go down to Houston, it's a pretty stressful place to play. So when they're at home, the defense is pretty damn good.
Stingley. Lassiter.
Yep.
Got some guys.
You
back
got to
there,
keep
too.
you Petrie can't be in man coverage in slot. Like, cannot. He ended up in man coverage in a couple situations in that Jets game where you're just like, dude, I know that. Like, you're supposed to be calling the plays. You're supposed to know. I know that. We can't have him in man coverage in a bad matchup. And for Ben Johnson, he's going to be hunting that matchup. So you got to watch.
Got to watch.
In division matchups, part of the show, kicking off with Eagles Cowboys. Cowboys are getting 7.5 points. Is that too much?
It's a lot of points because I think when you look back in the past, I don't know if somebody has Cooper Rush's cover rate, but I feel like Cooper Rush has kind of been okay for the Cowboys.
I mean, he was 4-1 2 years ago. That one loss coming against the Eagles.
It's a lot of points on the road.
5-1 straight up and 5-1 against the spread as a starter. Cooper Rush.
You got to watch out. Is all I'm saying. If you're just thinking bet the Eagles, and we'll talk about this on the gambling show, and I feel like we're doing the thing, but it's going to be hard to lay the points here.
Who's the bigger loss? All right.
Now
hold on.
Yeah.
Dak or CD? I feel like if Cooper's throwing the ball out there to CD, who's questionable but likely doubtful, you feel okay about things. No CD, you feel a little worse.
Yeah, it's a big deal. That's a big deal. I don't know if there's a binary answer here. It's just like the Cowboys might be really fucked.
Yeah.
If they don't have CD and they've got Cooper Rush throwing the ball around the yard. But the bottom line is, like, Micah Parsons has to come back and be a big part of this game. I don't know if he's going to be back. Is that confirmed?
Likely back.
Micah will be back. Another one to keep in mind too offensively is Zach Martin hasn't practiced this week. So
Yeah, I think the Eagles, if the Eagles don't win this game, there's going to be a problem. Like, I think there's been enough issues over the last month with the head coach, and people have kind of like, hey, they lose that game last week. Who was the back that they threw the 50-50 ball to? Was it Johnson?
Dearness Johnson.
Dearness Johnson? If Dearness Johnson comes down with that ball, I don't know what happens after that game with Nick. Like we're in that kind of territory, and the team is a few games above 500. They are playing for the division lead next week, possibly. So don't go down and lose this game. And another thing is, Dallas, I feel like, has kind of been a house of horrors for the Eagles. At least since I was there. I remember, like, when I played for the Eagles, like, a while ago, it was kind of known that was a tough place to go play for the Eagles. And then on top of that, Zeke Elliott was kind of still in his kind of sort of prime. And, God, that's a long time ago. So when you put it in perspective, it makes sense why Zeke didn't really look. I mean, he doesn't look like the old Zeke. That's fucking 7-8 years. But when I was there, I remember them saying, like, we haven't beaten Zeke. We've only beaten the Cowboys when it was like Alfred Morris playing running back for them. So this is a matchup that's been a problem for the Eagles, even when the Eagles are good. The Cowboys are kind of Swiss cheese right now. Does the fact that it's a rivalry game in division kind of override that and keep it close? I don't know. But Saquon Barkley has to run roughshod over these guys. Like, they can't stop the run. And you think about the backers. Like, if you can get Saquon Barkley on the backers in space, I think the screen game's got to hit for a bunch. I really do. I think there's corners out there you can attack. I think there's people on that defense you can attack. I feel like the Eagles got to come in there with a real killer instinct attitude and put this game away early and then run the damn ball. Kellen Moore returning to Jerry's world.
Eagles are 5-0 with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, not a sure thing.
A.J. Brown, not a sure thing. If he's out of this game, that's going to be tough sledding, right? No matter who you're playing.
Do you think that Kellen Moore, having spent 5 years with Cooper Rush, is going to be beneficial for the Eagles' defense at all? Do you think they go to, like, is Vic Fangio?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Kellen Moore knows these guys. I mean, Kellen Moore knows a lot of the guys on the field. I mean, that he can tell you what's wrong, what does this guy not prefer, what are the looks you can throw at this guy that he's not going to like. For sure that matters. Overall, it's the biggest advantage you have in this game, in my opinion, is the guys up front. And so the guys up front just have to dominate this game. Especially if Zach Martin doesn't play, then you have a real advantage inside, and offensively, you've got an advantage running the football. So
the Eagle Dogs for the Eagles,
yeah.
Kobe Dean, Jalen Carter, and Nolan Smith have combined for 51 tackles, 7.5 sacks, and 16 pressures in the 4 games since the bye week. What did they do in the bye week? What was did they give everybody Michael's secret stuff?
No, I think honestly, like, the biggest thing that ever happened to the Eagles this year was Cooper DeJean on the defensive side of the football. I mean, Nolan and I talked about it a month ago. We were talking about it on Inside the NFL. I talked about it on Inside the NFL was, slot corner is a big issue for them. That's been a problem dating back to last year. So, like, the fact that they hit on Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, the Cooper DeJean thing's almost just as big. I mean, it's probably even bigger, right? And so, like, to insert him into the lineup, what they've done since is they've been able to be more aggressive, which helps the rushers. The coverage gets better. It's the thing people don't understand about, like, just sack watching. Just people out here sack watching, just looking at sacks. That's all you're looking at. If all you're looking at is the sacks, you're not really looking at the whole picture. So what I need you to do is look at the coverage, and the coverage is improved. And so all of a sudden, this group that we were like, the worst group in the world, you're like, oh, now they're at least middle of the pack. Well, maybe that's more like what they were with a decent, group of cover guys behind them. And that one domino has really helped.
Cooper Rush is 5-1.
Yeah, in today's NFL, you need 3 starting caliber corners, and that's what DeJean's give them, and he plays the run really well too. So
boy, he does.
The jeans.
The only one in Cooper Rush's 5-1 is Philadelphia Eagles. FYI.
Oh, really?
That's right.
I kind of feel like I remember that game. I'm sure I bet on it.
Might have played in it.
No, I didn't.
He's 30 years old at this point.
I don't think so.
Mm.
I don't think I played in that game. I don't think I've ever played Cooper Rush.
Okay.
I would have known.
You would have remembered.
I would have remembered.
Yeah.
I would have been like, he's a little easier to sack than Dak. All right, so what's the next in division, Till?
Falcons Saints. Little
gives a
NFC
shit?
South
Just joking.
matchup. No, you're not wrong.
No, it is hate week.
Hate week.
But I'm not saying who gives a shit because of the Falcons. I'm saying who gives a shit because of the Saints. Saints are playing in this game. They just fired Dennis Allen.
Second time
Darren-
he's been fired in the middle of a season with Derek Carr.
Derek Carr throwing hospital balls.
What
Still.
if they just rinse? I mean, it's the same conversation they had the first time. You know, it's like we've been here before. That's crazy. I didn't even think about that.
Uh-huh.
So, I think the Saints are in trouble. Like, obviously, you look at them next year. They got they're way, way over the cap.
Nobody, like, who's going to take that coaching job?
I'd take it in a heartbeat.
The food must be absolutely amazing in New Orleans for my man Kamara to basically sign another contract, big time contract there.
Or the
where-
money's good.
Yeah, but it's just no foreseeable future of you guys winning.
He has the most touches in the NFL this season, Alvin Kamara.
Dude, the Saints, man, the people are out wearing brown bags again. I mean, it was so good for so long. You know, I felt like they really had it going as an organization. And now it's like, what do you do? And to Reed's point, who wants that job next year? I mean, of all the openings, like, you got to get really lucky and find a boy wonder that wasn't even on the boy wonder short list kind of thing. I don't know. But the Falcons are a damn good team. Well, I don't want to say damn good. They're a good team. This is a division rivalry game. You know, I can't really tell you if it's going to be close, but the guys love this Rizzy guy. New Orleans, by all accounts, this Rizzy guy is like really well liked. And you know, this is the dreaded interim coach game.
Dreaded.
Yeah, I'm talking about for the team playing them.
Yeah.
You know,
Bump.
it's you get that bump when you roll out there with the interim coach. The thing about the Falcons, they can sweep the South now. They've already beaten the Bucs twice. That's the biggest hurdle. They win this game, they're going to sweep the South. So, Falcons looking forward, 31st in pressure rate through 9 weeks. I'm going to keep saying it till it gets fixed. And you know, I think for a team otherwise that I could see winning some playoff games, like that's a tough deal not to be able to do in the playoffs. So I think part of what they're going to be doing the rest of the season is just trying to figure out on the fly how we can generate more pressure. This game's gonna maybe suck.
Significantly.
Got to be
so.
honest, not that interested in this game.
Well, let me run this by you.
Yeah.
Rizzy's 54 years old. He's from Hillsdale, New Jersey, and he has 5 children.
That's pretty good. He worked that into the broadcast. Who's got to do this game?
It is Joe Davis, Greg Olson, and Pam Oliver.
Greg Olson.
How about Greg Olson? Was only the best guy on the planet. Now he's doing Falcons and Saints. Who's Tom get this weekend?
Tom has
The 72 Dolphins and the greatest show on turf.
You know, I don't know. Tales of a weed smoker.
Tom gets 49.
I've talked to Tales of a weed smoker in here before. Chiefs are just as physical as the Lions. I disagree. Look at the 2 tackles. Okay, I know the 3 guys inside are very physical for the Chiefs, but Chris Jones is very physical. Those defensive backs play hard.
Segway us, Cowboy.
Well,
Yeah.
Segway us.
That's an interesting question, though. Are the Chiefs more physical than the Lions? I don't think so.
Cowboy.
yeah.
Next
fine.
game.
No,
Lions are
I
the most
got one
physical team in the
cool
league.
question.
Segway.
I got one cool question. I don't think the Chiefs are Lions more physical.
I would think.
I mean, the Chiefs don't have a hangover thing.
There's no hangover thing with the Chiefs.
Cowboy, it's
hangover.
on a platter for you.
I'll do it after.
Speaking of
Let me real fast for you guys who played in the NFL.
Cowboy.
The Falcons had a Wednesday practice that was closed to reporters because the team deviated from its usual schedule. They held a light walkthrough on a Wednesday. Offensive coordinator Zach Robinson was surprised. He didn't think a midweek walkthrough was an option, but he said Raheem Morris said that a lot more could be learned from a slower practice without pads.
This is the Falcons.
Yes.
Well, I think sometimes a team's really banged up and you take that day. Like, that to me says they might be banged up or he just might be throwing these guys a bone.
It's awareness. It's awareness, too. Like, you probably know your team. You could probably see if your team is a little sluggish out there.
Yeah.
And this is the time of year where
why is everybody walking around?
this is the time of year where teams and guys are going to be banged up and kind of moving a little bit slower. You don't really have a young quarterback. I mean, your backup is young, but your quarterback your quarterback is old. So, like, some of these older guys, once it gets to this part of the season, it's kind of harder to warm up.
I agree. This is the time of the year where you got to get over the hump. And so, like, a coach like that being smart, you also have to realize where Raheem Morris was last year. I don't know what kind of program he ran when he was in Tampa years back or what kind of program Dan Quinn ran in Atlanta, but Sean McVay is notoriously nice to the players in practice. And so, like, what I mean is he's going to take care of the guys. Maybe it's something you pick up from that. I mean, Jeff Fisher used to give us walkthroughs a lot, and it goes a long way. It really does. Just to get that one day. The struggle with coaches is you need the whole team to get the looks. Like, so you've got to do team periods for X amount of time to get the looks you want to get. You can't do everything in 7-on-7. There are guys like defensive linemen who are like, I've seen it. Like, I don't need to know what's happening behind me. Like, me taking another 20 reps today is not going to help me. I could use the day off. And, I think the problem is the offenses and all that. Like, we need to get 1,000 looks. And so the battle between the players and the coaches is constantly like, how efficient can we be and keep guys fresh? And some coaches really get that, and some coaches don't. And sometimes you can get something out of a walkthrough. I got a lot out of a walkthrough. In New England, fuck, dude, a walkthrough was still stressful because the defense was so damn complicated.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting checks leading right up to the call. It's almost better, in my opinion, to be walking through in that situation. Because if I go out there for a team period and I'm trying to learn on the fly and I fuck up a rep, like, I can't just be like, hey, start it over. Walk through, you can go right back and do the same rep. Everybody's going to be like, hey, back on the line, just do the same rep. You're out there in team period. For you to have to redo a rep, probably the quarterback fucks something up or, whatever. So I like the walkthrough thing. I like sprinkling it in.
You mentioned a moment ago a really physical team in the NFC or the AFC West. The Broncos, who I assume you were talking about, they host the Chiefs, and no one really knows how they're undefeated this season. Bo Nix is second in the NFL and plays over 20 yards, only behind Lamar Jackson.
I can't.
That's a Nick six.
I can't explain it. I really can't explain that. Can you explain that?
There were a couple charts that showed. See if I remember this. So it showed.
We were calling him a check down merchant.
Yeah, but boy, does that guy make plays. And honestly, you've seen he's scrambled for a number of third downs or scrambled and pulled defenses to him,
right,
and been able to hit a guy for a first down on a.
I'm not gonna lie. I've seen some things with Bo Nix, and my expectations were low. Where I've been like, okay, Bo, but then I've seen the Bo Nix things. So I think the whole key this weekend is to avoid the turnovers. Man, like they last year, remember we did the pumpkin float? We got off the river. It was the same day that the Broncos beat the Chiefs.
Yep. Do you want to go back to the river this weekend
to do the pumpkin thing?
Yeah, we have to do it the exact same way.
No, I don't want to go back at all. But I think the other game they damn near beat them or beat them.
Yep.
Too.
But both games were close. 1-1.
Yeah. So this is a team that's going to play them tough. And you talk about Kansas City not covering big lines, man. Like, geez, like clockwork the other night. Like, it's Kelsey fumble, and that's all she wrote for the cover. They do not, especially in division, I would think, this is going to be a little closer game than you think. And also, Kansas City, the norm is now like they could go damn undefeated and not blow anybody out.
The Chiefs, they've won, or the Chiefs are undefeated despite having the league's 5th best scoring margin, 1 spot ahead of the Broncos, despite getting blown out. The Broncos, despite getting blown out last week by the Ravens. And the Chiefs, they've won 8 consecutive games when they've trailed at any point in the second half.
What shocked me the other night was looking at it was like Patrick Mahomes has never scored a touchdown or thrown a touchdown being tied in the fourth quarter. Did I see that? No, nobody else probably saw that. But I was shocked by that. This was during the game. They put this up on the Anybody in the chat see that? I thought it was a typo. You're all thinking I'm running with some bad info here.
No.
Where do you? I saw it during the game.
It just seems
I would just
so.
ask how often he's been tied in the fourth quarter.
What was the number? Or what was the stat?
Never thrown a touchdown in the fourth quarter with the game tied. I was shocked by that. I almost think the people in the TV truck fucked that up. But the whole point is, I think they've gotten really good at winning these close games. It's something they weren't good at last year. Like, it's a different team. And I think the DeAndre Hopkins, Pat Surtain matchup is going to be huge.
Awesome.
There's no way that's a real stat.
It seems so.
Seems so fake.
But I feel like it's one of those that like could wildly be like maybe Harrison Butker was kicking.
Well, it was
field
on
goals.
TV.
Week 1, he threw one down 3 in the fourth quarter.
Okay.
Does that do anything for you?
So see, not this year at least. But the whole point is, I think the DeAndre Hopkins Pat Surtain matchup is going to be must-see TV. You talk about a guy who's not going to be afraid to get up there and press, a physical receiver. And I think one thing that was so cool to watch last week was you see these receivers come in, and DeAndre Hopkins certainly didn't get a lot of looks the week before, but he was a huge part of the game plan. And I think one of the reasons, these wide receiver trades can be so variable is like a quarterback and a wide receiver being on the same page is like, it takes time. Sometimes it just doesn't work, and I think 2 guys with that amount of experience and who are that good individually, it's not going to take them that long to get on the same page. The other night, he was a big part of the game plan. Like early and often, he doesn't throw that ball down the seam unless it's DeAndre Hopkins. Like, and that's the catch. That's the catching the football part of having DeAndre Hopkins. Like, it's not just getting open. It's like I can throw the ball into a sea of bodies, and if it touches his hands, it's staying in his motherfucking hands. And, they had the little mishap late in the game that Winfield almost picked off. But for the most part, they powered right through the honeymoon stage, and they're married, dude.
Yeah.
Like you feel it watching them play. So it's gonna be fun down the stretch, and certainly Sunday is gonna be a great matchup.
Did you see the post-game interview that DeAndre Hopkins almost started crying because he was so happy that he gets to play in a, catch passes from?
Oh,
it's amazing.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
And he did throw, you may have said this, he did throw the fourth quarter touchdown while tied to DeAndre Hopkins this past week.
That was it.
Yeah.
So they jinxed him in a good way. But the poll in the chat, did you see the stat that Mahomes has never thrown a TD in the fourth quarter with the game tied? 28% of people are with me. They're feeling gaslit right now just by reading the stat.
There have been a couple people in the chat that said, yes, you saw correctly.
That's crazy, dude.
Is Ann Selzer in the chat?
Yeah. I don't want to talk about Ann Selzer.
I believe that stat. It's hard to be tied all the time.
Yeah.
There was only one option earlier this year, and Samaje Perine ran it in. So I just don't think it happens that often.
It's wild. That's wild.
Gonna
be a fun game.
Fun game. I'll be nervous. Nate will probably be nervous. We'll be nervous.
Why are you nervous? Y'all are good enough now that you get nervous?
Well, I'm always nervous.
You're always
Even
nervous. But like,
fucking Jarrett Stidham was playing at the end of last year. When
but
Drew Lock was running around tossing
But that's the
balls to
unique
Jerry
thing
Jeudy.
about you. Like, Panthers fans aren't nervous right now.
Yeah.
What?
No, they're not. You don't come into a game nervous. If you come into a game with no expectations, you come into a game happy-go-lucky
Blackout
with
drunk.
Jarrett Stidham starting,
Yeah.
You don't need to be nervous. You're the underdog. Play with house money.
Yeah. No, I just
They need to win.
But if you lose, you won't make the playoff.
right, exactly.
Who's going to make the playoffs if they lose?
The Cincinnati Bengals.
Thank you. Oh, you know what? This weekend, I'm Mr. Chiefs. I am Mr. Chiefs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We had 1 week of you being Broncos like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that was nice.
Well, the problem is
That was
then
good.
Nate starts screaming in my ear about like the Eagles, and so then I say, all right, well then I'm gonna fade the Broncos as a fan. I'm gonna just.
Wait, you know what happens when this happens? When you bet the Chiefs, it's just gonna put bad luck on your team. So Cowboys.
How's that possible, bro?
Yeah. Why, the Cowboys
I just
are
took
gonna
home
spin
I just took home a
You're gonna
Kia
have-
Sorrento last week.
You're gonna have to put together a whole monologue about why the Eagles lost to the Cowboys and Cooper Rush.
Okay, so we'll clip this for social. The Eagles are gonna lose to the Cowboys. Yes or no?
If you're gonna cheer for the Chiefs against the Broncos, yes, they are.
Okay, good to know.
Yep.
So the Broncos are gonna win. Got 2 winners: Cowboys and Broncos this weekend.
Let's go. Put it in a teaser.
You can put it in a teaser.
Why not?
Money line
You only want to do the
dog.
Wong method, bro. You guys know the Wong method?
Can't cross 0.
You cross 3s and 7s.
Yeah.
You don't cross the 8s. See, you out of your depth here on the teasers.
Yeah.
Tease God here. The point is, when you do a teaser, seriously, for people at home, because you got to be careful about teasers. Teasers are when you manipulate. You got to take two separate bets. So say the Chiefs are playing the Broncos this weekend. The Chiefs are laying 8, whatever they're laying,
7.5.
7.5.
Take it down to 1.5.
Now, the better way to do it would be to tease the Chiefs down to 1.5, right? Because you can move the line 6 points, but you have to pair it with something else that you move the line 6 points on. And you go Chiefs, Chargers, teaser. You tease both touchdown favorites down, adhering to the Wong method, of course. You wouldn't do 2 things. You don't tease totals, even though I do it. And seriously, they say don't do it, but I do it all the time. It's just fucking, it works.
Don't do it.
Okay?
That's called
And
the long Wong.
That's the long Wong. So you got to know when to do it. And then on top of it, you can't tease a team from like 8 to 14. That's just not going to win you any money. So like if you're teasing, you want to cross a 3 or a 7.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
This is free game.
I got you.
I don't know. He looks mad to receive it.
No, I'm just gonna go Cowboys money line and Broncos money line.
There you go.
Yeah, put him in a parlay.
That's how you solve that.
What is that? 10 to 1?
I hope you need that $3.50 at some point. I hope it goes down the drain and
14 to 1.
14 to 1.
okay.
Do we want to hit a couple topics now?
Honestly, though, that there is some good juice on that thing. I mean, like, I am a little worried about I'm just like, on a scale of 1 to 10, birds worry. Like 10 is like we're gonna lose for sure.
You think the Birds could beat someone by 8 points right now?
That's not what I said.
Oh, okay. But you said you're worried.
It's a scale of worry.
Okay.
It's not a scale of how much they win by. Does that make sense?
But you're worried about the spread or them just winning straight up?
I'm talking about your bet, a money line bet against the Eagles.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to. Believe it or not, I'm trying to help. I'm trying to like big up your.
Oh, yeah. The Eagles are real. No. I hear you. The Eagles are, you never know what you're going to get with them.
No, going to Dallas on the road. That's what I was saying the last 30 seconds. Segue.
Tease Tua, no juice on that thing.
Oh god.
I'll workshop. I'll workshop.
Oh.
I want to tease
Tease
Tua. You're going
hot
through
Tua.
the juice.
Okay,
Oh,
got it. Oh, got it. That's good.
You said juice on that thing. And
the Star Trek guy really lit up to in that commercial when he couldn't throw it up to.
Yeah.
That was the most fucked up commercial. Honestly, that stuff's got to stop. My man can throw the deep ball.
You know what else has to stop? All you people
Easy.
saying when you want to say yes or that's right, you say 100% or 100% or 100%.
What's wrong with that?
Just say yes. Just say
100.
that's right.
100p.
100p.
Trying to
Yeah,
act like you're
100p.
saying you're sounding smart by saying 100%.
Oh, now
That's
you
100.
now
Say
you
yes.
like now
That's
you like to
100.
get to the point.
Yeah. Efficiency. Say yes.
Okay.
100.
That's better.
What's next?
We want to get into a few topics, NFL topics. Do you know who Glenn Ray Simmons is?
I didn't.
Yeah, I got a We got a novel from Nolan last
Yeah,
night.
we learned who Glenn Ray Simmons
Let him
was
tell
from
us.
Nolan.
Yeah.
Who's Glenn
Glenn,
Ray Simmons?
explain Glenn.
Gladly. Glenn Ray Simmons is an American man who was wrongfully convicted of murder in the state of Oklahoma in 1975. After having been exonerated, he was released from prison in 2023 at the age of 70 after having been imprisoned for 48 years. His imprisonment after wrongful conviction is believed to be the longest in American history.
I think
So-
part of Project 25 is to put him back in prison.
Damn.
The reason we're bringing up Glenn Ray Simmons is as the 2024 trade deadline has come and gone, there remain many great players on not so great teams, and we'd like to introduce the inaugural
Get
Glenn
that
Ray
son of a
Simmons
bitch off the field.
Basically, what we're trying to do is recognize players for outstanding play on teams they don't deserve to be. Chat, help us out.
Yeah. The point is, this guy went to prison. He didn't kill anybody at all. And so that's unfair. And you know what else is unfair? Playing for the Browns. Kind of feels like going to prison and being told you killed somebody. You didn't at all. So who are the players that don't deserve to be where they are?
Max Crosby. He has Stockholm. Get the hell out of
Yes,
Las
Stockholm
Vegas.
syndrome.
Get out of Las Vegas. Get out. Get out, bro. Get out. Get out. Get out now. It's not going to change. It's not going to change.
That's so funny.
I feel bad for Christian Kirk. He was about to get moved. He was going to go somewhere nice.
Yeah.
Got injured.
Oh, Christian
Late
Kirk.
in the game, too.
Yeah.
And
Don't
what
get
a-
injured.
another person who got injured, and he's probably stuck, Thielen.
Thielen was on my mind because you talk about like
Like, damn, bro.
beating the odds, being a white wideout, and then playing into your 30s as a white wideout, and then like you're in Carolina.
Well, and leaving, like, making it in Minnesota for a long time and being close a couple times. And now,
Seeing Minnesota.
yeah, oh, man,
Just trucking it.
trucking.
I was thinking Bajorquez, Browns punter.
Bajorquez?
Bajorquez. 49ers, Texans, Ravens, all bottom 5 punting. Could have used some help.
Yeah, that's true. Nobody trades for a punter
I don't understand why.
How about this?
because they're punters. How do you explain that to the team? We're gonna bring a new guy in that's gonna play video games all day, while we practice. But he can kick it real far.
What about Sexy Dexy?
Yeah, no, he wasn't going to get moved, but I mean, you feel for him. I will say though, somebody like that's playing for the Giants, like there's some like if we ever turn this around, I'm the biggest fucking hero in the city of New York. Like
You would hope.
you
would hope.
he's
Fans
playing hero ball.
Fans are weird.
Are they?
I think so.
Like generally?
Unless they win, it's like I feel like guys, like if you're still gonna lose, like you don't really get rewarded like that.
No, you don't on losing teams.
Yeah.
But my point is like
If
he's
they-
good enough that no matter what, nobody's looking at Dexter Lawrence is the problem. And
Yes.
if they ever turn it around, it's kind of
That
a
is
cool
true.
city to play in. Still, I'll admit that. Like, I think the media is insane, but
Yeah, but if you
you're
could
playing
win
for
in
the
New York,
Giants.
yeah, for sure.
Imagine being stuck with like a broken collarbone in Jacksonville, and a day ago you could have been in Pittsburgh playing for the Steelers. Like, that's crazy, dude. That's crazy. And Myles Garrett doesn't deserve to be out there doing what he's doing. I know he'd probably say, "Hey, Chris, I got this. I'm a big boy." But I'll say it for you. That's not even football. What you've had to deal with all year.
Denzel Ward, 15 PBUs in Cleveland.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
How about this? How about Taysom Hill?
Taysom Hill.
How about
Yeah,
him
or Nate.
He's healthy.
take his talent
Or
somewhere
Nate.
else?
Or
Well, I
Nate.
was saying Nate brought up Alvin Kamara earlier too.
Yeah.
Think about him on a contender right now.
Yeah, man.
Well, shout out to that guy.
Jelani Tavai,
I don't know about that.
good player.
He's a good player, but I don't know if anybody was like, we need to get Jelani Tavai.
Nick
Buda
Chubb.
Bake? Well, no.
Nick
not
Chubb.
Nick Chubb.
But he's coming off an injury, right?
Nobody's
Yeah.
going to go out and get
Indeed.
Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trayvon Morig?
More
Wow.
Or, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a deep cut.
Raiders safety. I think he's highly rated in
Okay.
in
I love this.
I go get him somebody. You could have.
He's
Maybe
like
next year.
he's like He's watching this pod. Fucking come get me, dude. Come get me. People been giving me shit in the chat about how much I have to piss. I got to piss again. So since you guys are complaining, can somebody get me a bottle?
No.
Oh, okay, I'll go to the
Go to the
bathroom.
Jesus Christ. We're not doing the AJ Hawk thing here.
Is that what he does?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
Yeah. Someone in the chat said that the other day. Someone get Chris an AJ Hawk bottle. But we're not. Yeah, we're good.
Got to bring the desk back.
Yeah, really.
Bobby Okereke, New York Giants.
Then we'd have to guess what
Andrew
was happening
Thomas,
anyway.
New York Giants.
Calais Campbell, Dolphins.
Drew Phillips, rookie, New
Yeah,
York
Clay's
Giants.
been balling.
Malik Neighbors, rookie, New York Giants.
Your guy Aziz Ojulari.
Ojulari, Tyrone Tracy. A lot of good players on that.
Miles Sanders is now I think he's the second high or one of the highest paid players on the Panthers, but he's the third running back.
Brandon Aubrey's big, sexy, smooth leg being wasted in Dallas. Brandon Aubrey is 9 of 10 from 50-plus yards.
Wow.
And 6 of 6 from 40 to
He's
49.
practicing on little kid fields because he can't go to Cowboys practice because
Can you
he's
believe that?
doing his civic duty.
Civic duty.
Civic
Yep.
duties.
Christian McCaffrey's back this week.
I think,
Nate knows
I think
about
Lamar had to take a piss last night.
it. He went down.
He went down.
Went down.
You know how
in the
nice
tunnel.
that is to have a little trap door sideline thing. You know, some teams have that little trap door. That's nice. You can go right down there, take a hot piss.
When you go,
You're right back out on the field.
Or the tent.
so you're on the
Yeah,
road.
the tents. Everybody know, when you go in there, then they're like, "Oh, Lamar's in the blue tent." Go ahead.
Whiz.
When you go on the road, is that something you search out for on the sideline? Like, hey, where can I? Like, is there a
Well,
behind the
generally, what you
door?
might do is like they're gonna like crowd around you. It's actually one of the most surreal things in the world. Like pissing, making eye contact with 30,000 strangers. They'll like somebody will hang a Gatorade towel up. There'll be like 3 guys that'll stand in front of you. You get on a knee and you know make it work into a bottle or something.
That's better than the one guy, though, the probation officer looking into the mirror to make sure it's your urine coming
Oh
out.
yeah, it's tough. Never had to experience that.
Mirror.
Yeah.
There's no mirror involved.
Oh really?
Those eyes are right on your dick.
Sometimes there's a
Jeez.
mirror involved.
For real?
I've been told.
Yes.
Is the guy polite about it?
I mean, it's his job. He has to see it.
Does he like make any comment like nice?
I think that's a HR violation if he did something like that.
What would be the opposite if it wasn't nice? Oh,
Like, oh, imagine that.
Damn. No, that's damn. It's more like it's
damn.
Like,
No, it's not. Damn.
it's like,
Yeah.
and you're going to prison?
My condolences.
You're out at that point.
There's a few comments in the chat.
Walk into your cell and the guy's just got an Audi belly button basically, and you're just like, I'm safe. I'm good.
What?
I followed.
You know exactly
Yeah.
what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Well, not exactly, but I know what you're talking about.
I'm lost.
What I'm saying is if you go to prison, you prefer you don't walk in to meet your cellmate and he's just like Greg
Nice.
the third leg.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? Because the things I've heard about prison, it's not good.
I see.
You see what I'm saying?
So
There was a few comments in the chat that wanted to know if you wash your hands.
No, I didn't
No,
wash my
definitely
hands.
not. Yeah.
No,
It's too quick.
Because y'all would have complained. Y'all would have been like, "Oh, you took too long. Oh, you're hydrated. Oh, it's like no matter what you do." But I'm well equipped to handle the criticism. I have 3 children and a lovely wife at home. You can't do anything right in the house either. You know what I'm saying? What's the next game?
Christian McCaffrey's back. Nate knows about it because he's on his fantasy team this week. He's back with the 49ers. Is this a 49ers, or are they going to take off?
I do think they're going to take off. I do, sadly, for the
Because
rest of the
what was
NFC.
it was the red zone, right, that you were talking
Red
about
zone.
a couple weeks
They've
ago?
had a lot of problems in the red zone. You know, customarily a very good red zone team with him in the lineup, and obviously not just losing the running game, but we talk about all the time losing the matchup, where you know you basically got a starting slot receiver, a running back, the whole thing. I mean, like when you lose him,
Yep.
you also have to ask Mason and Garendo to run the fuck out of the ball. Those guys are fresher when he comes back, and I think more than anything, you can pick and choose matchups. I mean, like you go in to play Tampa Bay, you play Tampa Bay without Christian McCaffrey. I can see it being a game. Now I can still see this being a game, but there's a case to be made. Like imagine Britt on McCaffrey. Like all of a sudden, that's a matchup that you're looking at and you're like, you're salivating. Where that wasn't really. I mean, you're still trying to go at those matchups, but I think the ceiling with him on the field is huge. But for the Bucs, I know we just glazed the Falcons, and we're kind of doing it to. I'm definitely doing it to kind of not patronize, but like, what would the word be? Pacify Falcons fans.
That's fine.
Because Falcons fans have been really mad at your boy because I didn't pick him to win the South. Okay, I'm sorry. There's a bunch of divisions. You guys aren't the only one. I don't get them all right. But I do still think there's a chance for the Bucs. I know I wrote them off a couple weeks ago. When you look at it this way, pull up the Bucs opponents after the bye. So this is why this is a huge game for the Bucs. The shame of the Bucs is sometimes they can look like a damn good team. Like they came into Arrowhead the other night and did a really good job offensively in a situation where they're down their 2 stud receivers. I think there was an adjustment period. I think they had time to game plan. And they looked like a damn good team the other night. But all of a sudden you're riding a 3-game losing streak. You play the Niners, okay? You got a bye week. Then you go at New York, at Carolina, versus the Raiders, at the Chargers, at the Cowboys, versus the Panthers, versus the Saints. Hey, guys.
Easy peasy.
I'm just saying we can't count them out. Now, they lose this game.
I count 6 wins after the bye.
They lose this game. Well, how many games they got after the bye? 7?
7. So
They have
Chargers is a toss-up.
They have a chance. I can't. In the NFL, the general rule is you can't just count. I'm not, shitting on what you just said, but it's hard for me to just say, hey, like, aggregation of playing all these bad teams, it's automatically 6 wins. Like, they could lose a game to the Panthers. They could lose a game to the Giants. Like, these things happen in the NFL. But this is a lot of bottom-dwelling-ass teams. And, and the Chargers. So they have a chance. They have a chance. And so this would be a huge game for them. This is going to be a back-against-the-wall game for the Bucs. Having said that, Christian McCaffrey coming back is no bueno. And on the other side of things, we know what the Niners do when they get that bye. They get the bye, second half of the season, they're a totally different team. And in the past, they've been really good, and they haven't had this crowd to make up. They're going to be.
Debo was excited. He was in the press conference in the locker room the other day. He was talking about how they're finally all healthy, and it's not going to be fair.
Oh, he's absolutely excited. This is a big deal.
Yep.
Okay.
Bill's ceiling. How high is that? Is it a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Answer's yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think so. This game this weekend is going to be interesting because the run game is what you got to keep an eye on here. Jonathan Taylor, the Colts, the physicality. I think they probably walk into a game and think we can run the ball against almost anybody because of that back. And when you walk into a game with the Bills right now, you're kind of like they've been beat up front. They're not the biggest group of guys in general. You saw how little the Ravens made them look like. I think this is a game that the Bills got to watch out for. Having said that, though, like this team's 7-2.
Only one game was not competitive.
Only one game was not competitive, and it got out away from them on a Monday night. I think it was in Baltimore. It was a Sunday night or a Monday night.
They've held 4 teams to exactly 10 points.
So when they get when they get Matt Milano back, if they get Matt Milano back, that's going to be a big deal. And you talk about like making a playoff push. If they are, let's pull up their schedule.
Right now they're 7-2, a half game ahead of anybody else vying for the 2 seed. Kansas City's obviously 8-0.
They can beat Kansas City.
Yeah.
And I feel like in a weird way they're more equipped to beat Kansas City this year than last year, although Kansas City's in a lot better shape than they were last year, you could argue, because of the record and because they've won these games that they're accustomed to losing over the past calendar year. The Bills took them to the wire in Buffalo. Now, home field advantage, probably not in the cards because of the way the Chiefs are playing. One thing we should check on is let's do a 17-0 watch in a second. But we've got the Chiefs after the Colts game, and that's part of the reason this Colts game is a big deal is like you can't look ahead, man. You can't be thinking about this Chiefs game. That's our job, okay? Josh, this is our job to talk about the Chiefs game in 2 weeks. But you got the Chiefs next, then you get the Niners. You're at the Rams. You're at the Lions.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's tough. That's a tough month. Then you got Patriots, Jets, Patriots to finish the season. So, I think for them, if you can go 13-4, if you can go 12-5, look around the AFC and tell me that they probably wouldn't be second. You know what I mean? Like, just looking at the way the other teams are playing. Like, look at the conference standings right now. Steelers, we read their schedule off now. They went 5-1 last year in the division. They're a damn good football team.
After last night, Baltimore's probably your biggest threat for the 2 seed.
They are, but I don't trust that defense. I really don't trust that defense. And, I don't think I'm being sensationalist in saying that, but it's going to come down to Buffalo and Baltimore, to your point. If you're Buffalo and the only place you got to go on the road is Arrowhead, like, I feel pretty good about it. I know it's Arrowhead, but they were
up in the fourth quarter in the playoffs last year at Arrowhead.
They were up in the fourth quarter in the playoffs last year at home.
At Arrowhead. At home.
No, at home. At home. That's where Bassman. But they beat the Chiefs last year at Arrowhead.
Yeah.
Do you remember that game earlier in the season? And this is just when they went to the new coordinator. And I remember they were doing really, a lot of pre-snap stuff with the backs, getting the matchups they wanted. They played the game on their terms. Like, they controlled the pace of the game. Josh was hard to get off field on third down. Like, those things can happen again to the Chiefs. So I think the Bills have to feel like if they can get through this next month unscathed or with a couple losses, not without the bottom falling out, the last 3 games of the season, you could be playing a Jets team that's out of it and 2 Patriots. And so I think about the Bills like being the second seed in the AFC. Like, there's no reason why they can't go play in the Super Bowl and beat whoever that is. I'm not saying they're the favorite, but that's – now that we're talking about teams like capital C contenders, lowercase c contenders, they're a capital C contender, in my opinion. There's a couple of those teams in the NFL.
You're starting to make me worry about this week all of a sudden.
Indy, yeah. I do worry about it a little bit. I do. What's going on with Keon Coleman?
Let me see. I just had
That's a big one. But I got to feel like offensively they can get it done this week.
Keon Coleman is ruled out.
He's ruled out.
Yep.
So I think the big key is if you can overcome that thing, this is a good matchup for them on the offensive side of the ball. You got to get those 2 guys blocked in the middle. They damn near wrecked the game last week, Buckner, Stewart, who I love. But I think if you're asking what the Bills' ceiling is, there's no reason. They're in the group of teams. The Lions, to me, let's power rank them right now. This is the dumbest shit in the world, but let's do it. Let's power rank the NFL teams. I hate power rankings so much.
All right, number 1 spot. Does it go to the Chiefs or the Lions?
Lions.
I think it goes – I think the eyeball test says the Lions.
So then Chiefs too?
Yep.
Yeah, but I don't think – it's like I saw somebody earlier be like, who's better, the Lions or Chiefs? I don't even want to answer that question, but let's put the Lions first.
1A, 1B,
Yeah,
number 3.
Let's put them in tiers.
Okay.
Contending tiers. Okay, you get the Lions and the Chiefs, and then after that I think it goes zoom in a little bit.
You're not putting the Bills in that top tier too?
I think those 2 teams have earned being in their own tier. Do I think the Bills could beat either of them? Yeah. But I'm just doing this for the sake of fairness. I
think Ravens too. I know you don't like the defense.
No, Ravens and Bills are in the same tier.
Yeah.
Ravens and Bills are in the same tier. The Steelers can beat damn near anybody in the AFC because of the way they play, but I just have a hard time believing they're going to go the distance.
If we're into a third tier, I think Steelers are with the Eagles. Eagles only team in the top 6 offense and defense. Vikings in that tier.
I put the Vikings.
In that tier.
I put the Vikings, the Eagles, the Bills, the Ravens, and
Commanders?
the Commanders in that tier. You saying they need to be in different tiers?
Maybe not. But I don't. Yeah, I think Vikings and Commies. Yeah, I think they're a step below Bills, Ravens.
I think Vikings might be a step below Bills, Ravens. I think the Commanders.
Motion to put Chargers in that tier.
Chargers should be in the Vikings tier, in my opinion. And then the teams that should be in the
Texans
second,
in there too.
Texans should be in that third tier right now because of the way the offensive line's playing.
Yep.
So I put Baltimore, Buffalo, Commanders, Eagles, all in that second tier. I think the Packers have had an opportunity to be in that tier, but they haven't shown me enough. They're probably in that third tier of contenders. So this is, listen, if we left your team off, sorry. But I think that's kind of like the way I think about it. Like,
Niners.
oh, Niners, man. Niners should be probably in that second tier.
Probably so.
We are
In that
back.
second tier.
We are so back.
But here's the thing about them. We don't know if Christian McCaffrey is like healthy. Like, we don't know that.
Everything else,
If they don't have Christian McCaffrey, they're not in that second tier.
Yeah, I feel like the third tier for the Niners is where they should be until they look like they're the team from last year.
If the Niners go undefeated the rest of the season, big if, and Christian McCaffrey runs wild, and let's say Lamar takes a bit of a dive, and Josh is throwing a couple picks, should we be talking about Christian McCaffrey being an MVP?
You're really asking that right now? 0 yards?
It's a hypothetical.
If they go from 4-4 to 13-4, sure, let's talk
Yeah,
about it.
because then that means I would have won fantasy.
Well, it has nothing to do with fantasy.
Yeah.
No, you're not. You
It does.
can't.
Yes.
It has everything to do with
Yes.
just the to me, it's like the narratives around. If we're going to put people in MVP conversations, then we should be talking about hypotheticals too, because conversations mean nothing. To me, it's like, it's, you know the answer. But if the damn Niners go on a run and he looks awesome, if you talk about value, he might be the most valuable who's more valuable when they're healthy to the offense? Non-quarterback. It's nobody. Saquon?
maybe.
Saquon should be in the conversation too, if you talk about running backs. So, I don't even know, man. I didn't put the Falcons in there, no. I think the Falcons are on the edge of being a contender.
Kenneth Walker III,
Best player in the league.
Chris.
Somebody's going to be mad at me. Every time the Falcons win now, people are going to be like, you said we weren't contenders? All right, what's the next game?
We want to know if there's a path to the playoffs for the Jets. And just as a caveat, with this Bengals loss, the Jets can close Week 10 in the AFC's 8th spot with a win and a Colts loss.
hate
Obviously,
the
the Colts
AFC.
play the Bills.
Yeah, win your games. That's your path.
Say that again, Reed.
With this Bengals loss, the Jets can close Week 10 in the AFC's 8th place spot with a win and a Colts loss.
If they beat the Cardinals, they go to 4-6, which the Bengals are also.
You would think they're going to be able to – you would think – now, here's the thing about the Cardinals. The Jets – now, they're going to be better outside the numbers now, but, like, the thing that worried you, like, when, say, the Jets played the Vikings is, like, the access in the middle of the field. The Cardinals have pretty good safeties. Like, the one thing about the Cardinals is I don't know if they can rush him effectively. They had a good game last game rushing the quarterback, but, like, are you going to be able to capitalize on getting Rodgers off the spot? Like, I don't know. If he's going to have a clean pocket, it could be a long day. But I look at James Conner running rough shot through a Jets defense that hasn't really been great against the run. Like, I actually think this is going to be a lot of fun. This game is going to be a lot of fun. This is one of my favorite games of the weekend. Thankfully, it's in the 425s.
Let me ask you something. Advantage or disadvantage that the Cardinals, being in Arizona, they don't do daylight savings?
I think that's an advantage.
Couldn't tell you.
No, I think it's an advantage because if you polled most of America, and we know what they say about polls, but if you polled most of America say we don't need to do this. I feel like shit right now.
But how do they get the exemption? Just one state.
Arizona privilege.
Past the state law.
Why can't we pass a damn state law?
Damn.
Well, wait a
good.
second. I like how it's light when I wake up.
Yeah.
Bro, you're going to bed much later. Your circadian rhythm's all fucked up. You don't even know it.
I don't know it.
You're all fucked up.
Yeah, I'm rather puffy and haggard. You're right.
Yeah. Do you feel that way? I'm just
Yeah.
telling you. Everybody's tired, man. We're all going to bed all of a sudden at like 1 a.m. on the reg.
Yeah.
And so it takes some adjustment. I do think there might be a daylight savings bump, Facts.
But
Just
aren't we? How far are we out from that?
I mean, fall
was-
back.
that was-
I mean,
Oh,
fall back.
we're okay. Yeah,
It just
we're in the
happened.
same week. Yeah,
Yeah, it's the same week.
it's been a long week. Sorry.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Just for
Yeah,
also,
you
but
thought
I'm
it was
just
a
saying
month.
for like I don't know how it works, but I was just thinking about it. Like it was confusing in my head. Like, but flying into Arizona, like, is there any effect because we do daylight savings and then they don't? Like, are they getting an extra hour because we're losing an hour?
Well, it would just be a different.
No, I just think they're in rhythm. They're
Yeah.
in rhythm. Everybody else is like, what the
No, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's why I think maybe the Cardinals might have an advantage. Nate, I like this. I like this. But yeah, for the Jets, they absolutely have to win this game. These are all must wins now, which makes for great TV.
Yeah,
Doesn't it make for great TV?
it does.
Like we thought we were getting Rodgers like a calendar year ago or a year and a half ago
fighting their way off the grill.
when they ran out there for that first Monday night game and he's got the flag in his hand and everybody's like, oh man, this is going to be must-see TV every night because the Jets are going to be good. And it's more about the must-see TV because they're on the brink every fucking time they take the field.
Yeah.
Like, this is just going to be fun the rest of the year. I don't care who you are, unless you're a Jets fan.
Man.
So
It's not fun.
the Jets and the Bengals are both have to win out, right? Which team do you trust to do that more? Like, without looking at
Oh, the Bengals.
schedule? Bengals?
Bengals.
Vegas agrees. Jets are plus 310 to make the playoffs. Bengals plus 125.
Plus 125, bro. Get them off the grill. Get them off the grill. Plus 125?
And I think it's a good bet.
What are you calling Vegas, Dom?
Vegas be knowing. Vegas
Vegas
be
be
knowing.
That's what I'm
knowing.
saying, dude.
But Vegas also be wrong. They
Vegas does be wrong. You know, Vegas.
When Vegas comes around, I shut up. But when they leave, I start talking.
I start talking again.
I start talking again.
Hey, because the beginning of the season, I lost this note, but I think there's been two stretches of like heavy public winning over a month span, and then I think it was Vegas and then the public. I think the public just came off a.
Yeah. That's why Kingston's on such a run.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Last 3 weeks, the casinos have taken a bath.
Yeah, dude.
You've
So
been going against you've been going with the public.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm
Matty
doing.
Public. Yeah.
that's not true. He has a
Matty.
newsletter where he's like 11 and 6.
30 and 15.
30 and
actually.
15. That's very good.
Yes, it is.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Now do it again.
Do it again.
Yeah, coach used to say, you showed me now I need it every time. So, I need that newsletter. But yeah, no, Vegas is going to make a comeback here over the next month. So you might want to start looking at, handles and
Stinky dogs.
Yeah,
Bet
they're probably
percentages.
going to make so much money off these Bengals. People just thinking you're just fueling it too, because every week you just give Bengal fans.
yeah, but they
that
covered.
hope.
They covered. What do you mean?
Yeah.
They covered last night.
I guess. So you look at the covers. See, I'd be looking at money line. They lost.
Yeah, no question.
They lost.
But are you betting? Would you bet the Ravens money line? That's like
No.
those odds are stinky. They're terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, what's next?
We want to know how many divisions can the Chargers win?
Hey Choro, how am I glazing Rodgers?
Mm.
Is this like the highlight of your day, me answering your comment?
Churro.
100p.
Like what? That makes no sense.
100.
Did I glaze him?
No.
Like I
Yeah,
have
some
one
people-
Dr. Fax in here.
Some people are saying 1,000%. That doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah. How many
Hundo
divisions can the Chargers win? The
Tree.
You know what's so funny to me? You know what's so fucking funny to me?
You're going to say all of them.
Y'all behind the counter or whoever put this poll out just put a binary yes no poll out titled how many divisions can the Chargers win?
Is that the
That was
Cowboys?
me.
Yeah.
We know I'm an idiot.
That's so funny though. That's so fucking funny.
What'd they say?
And
I'ma keep
a
it
lot of
up.
people said yes.
36% yes. My bad.
No, that's perfect.
That's
this is
like
good TV,
that's
as
an
they
exit
say.
poll.
This, yeah. So, somebody said they picked no. Camus picked no.
I've been wanting to tell you guys. I think that's Camus.
Choro, you asked. Choro says I asked if
Who?
Choro says I asked if Jets or Zona was the better team. Choro, I didn't even fucking see your comment, bro. And if you asked me, I think it's Arizona, but I never answered that question. Jiminy crickets, man, get it together.
Yeah, come on, guys, gals.
So what are we talking about now?
I'll run through the. So can the Chargers win the AFC West?
No.
No, they can't
All right.
win the
No.
AFC West.
AFC South,
Yes.
Yes,
No.
Yes.
if they were in that division, they can.
Yes.
AFC North,
No.
You could
No.
Houston twice. If they played Houston twice, CJ would be picking his teeth up off the turf.
They can be competitive. They can be competitive in 4 divisions. They can only win 1.
But how do you make the distinction between competitive and can? They can't win the East, the NFC East. They can't win the NFC North. They could win the NFC South.
NFC
That's the
South,
right answer.
Okay.
NFC West.
I
They could beat the Cards. Are
You
in
say
the lead.
could. I mean, they could win the NFC West. We're putting the cart before the horse, saying the Niners all of a sudden are going to win a bunch of games. They are a different team than they have been in the past. Like there are some different players out there. The run defense is shoddy. You know, there's a lot. Okay, so that's
Can they?
Can they? Yeah.
3.
So what? We're 1-1. AFC West is a no. AFC South.
Yes.
We've kind of rolled through all of them, Cowboy. You know.
Yeah. We've rolled through them all.
Word.
The only one.
My bad.
The only one that we didn't say is the AFC North, and they are built for the AFC North. Like, although the Steelers outlasted them in Pittsburgh, that was like a very AFC North game. They took the Rust Belt to LA. Hey Nolan, will you read that Khalil Mack stat that I sent you this morning? Is that possible? Because this is fucking crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, he has been balling this year. So Khalil Mack, first 3 years as a Bear. So 2018, 2020, he had 35 sacks, 19 hits, 210 pressures. In his first 3 years as a Charger, if we extrapolate the pace he's on right now through the end of this season, it would be 34.5 sacks, 25.5 hits, 217 pressures.
That's a
Khalil Mack's a free agent this offseason.
That's a lot, man. Hey, when I watched him beat Conklin up and under last week, I was like, man, a guy at his age is not supposed to look like that. Power ages well, and he's always been a power rusher who's got twitch, certainly has twitch, can win on the edge, but everything comes off the power, and to see him kind of like stop to stop, just continue to like find a place on a defense and quite frankly dominate. Like Bosa's supposed to be the lead dog there, and Bosa's a great player. Bosa's a great player, dude. But this old guy, Khalil Mack, has just like he's center stage. It's crazy.
See long.
Huh.
Rushed belt. Rushed belt.
I knew you were waiting to say something. That was really good.
RUSHED.
The rush belt.
The rushed belt.
The rush belt.
The rushed
Rush
belt.
hour.
And offensive side too. J.K. Dobbins like to run the ball. Rushed belt.
The rush belt. I kind of like that.
Put it on a graphic.
Put it on a graphic. No, everybody's
Bang,
gonna
bang.
what?
It does need a little bit of context, I reckon.
Khalil
Mail-
Mack's a beast.
Mailbag time.
Mail.
Run through a couple
Oh
mailbags.
yeah, and I got my
Here
Instagram too.
Here you go.
Oh, is that my Instagram?
Yeah. Just,
You're in my Instagram?
nope. I would never.
Wow, look at that. Holy
Start
shit.
there and scroll up and see what you like.
I'm
but
pretty popular, huh? Oh, I got a follow back from Charles Wesley Godwin.
oh,
Yeah.
Whoever that is.
You know what?
you country, you'd like him.
I do like
good.
Charles.
Country
Oh,
loves.
yeah. we do.
Well, yeah. Confirmed. You would like him.
Oh, nice.
So Charles Wesley Godwin, who's from West Virginia, is awesome. And there's a lot of talk about Zach Bryan this week because Zach Bryan supposedly. I was in a group chat last night and the guys were like, Zach Bryan would never pay off an ex-girlfriend for like why? Why would he do that? I'm like, just wait till she's gonna tell you why. It's not gonna be like one thing. It's gonna be she's gonna all the embarrassing shit that like an ex could talk about to you that's kind of like inconsequential in the grand scheme of things, but it's just really embarrassing. That's why you pay off your ex if you're Zach Bryan. And it's already started. So I was telling people, if you're like out on Zach Bryan, I got a guy, dude. Charles Wesley Godwin.
It's just over the hill in West Virginia.
He doesn't have to pay anybody off.
Nope. He
Fucking
just rides ATVs and sings some songs about Seneca Rock.
That guy's sick, dude. That
He's
guy's
cool.
sick. Okay, so now back to Ninko. Should the NFL, this is from Rob Ninkovich, should the NFL have potential reviews of final plays and no calls, Bengals versus Ravens? That's interesting. A final play review. Final play? Like if it's the final play?
No.
But then what if it's not the final play? Because that's not the final play.
Yeah, no.
No, Ninko, you're fucking crazy. Anthony McQueen, I am not going to answer that question. Like, is her eating your ass on the sex menu? That's the mailbag question. Anybody wants to answer that? You're welcome. I'm going to go to the next one. I got to please tell Fax to check his DMs. Is Macon related to John Fossil?
Oh God, Bones.
That's crazy. Spamming until I hear it address. Watson's Twitter burner, VP Rich. Is that a thing? You guys know about Deshaun Watson's
that
Twitter
guy
burner?
has-
Oh yeah,
DM'd me.
we talked about it. Yeah,
Who
he's
has?
been.
The same guy in the chat has
Yeah.
DM'd me that saying it's Deshaun's
Oh, I thought you were
burner.
going
He's
to say
DM'd.
Deshaun's burner has.
I can't
No.
confirm if it's his burner. Obviously.
What if Deshaun?
That's the one that's. Been
What if
around
that
for a
burner
couple
has? We checked our DMs on Twitter and he's been messaging. I'm not cooked. Deshaun's not cooked. Did I bet Derrick Henry's ass to show on TV at plus 950 last night? I didn't, but I did see his ass. Do the Eagles need a pitch count for Barkley? Build the best defense using. Why don't you run this?
Well, I want to know. X Carriages on Twitter asked, in an alternate universe, all the sports teams in a given city have the same color scheme, like Pittsburgh, like the Steelers. Which city would have the best combined kit based on this? This might be a
Based on the city flag?
Yep.
Oh, let me just access all the city flags.
That's the thing.
New Orleans, they have. I feel like it'll be sweet.
But didn't the Pelicans do that? And the Pelicans is all screwed
You
up.
mean they're taking from the fleur de lis? You're just using a fleur de lis.
No,
the Pelicans grabbed the red, blue, gold.
I don't love
Too
this
much.
question
Red,
due to
blue,
the
yeah.
amount of city flags.
That- I
only
was
know
gonna
one.
say it
Chicago's. That's the only city flag I know.
You know what?
Oh.
Chicago would be a pretty
Yeah.
sweet one. They got a
It-
sweet city flag.
It might be one of those like research questions.
It's
we'll
a
ask,
research question.
But
You know,
also,
we'll answer on Monday.
Bears,
Look at
Bulls,
Denver's.
Blackhawks
And
are iconic.
Denver's
Baltimore.
already
Cubs, White
used
Sox
the
too. You
Nuggets.
can't mess with those.
and then Baltimore would be black and yellow, like the Steelers. They have a black and yellow flag.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a
red,
good idea, frankly.
It's Maryland.
Chat, you got any mailbags? Give me that fucking
He
telephone
said, "Check
again.
my DM."
There was
Telephone again.
Someone sent me a DM and said, "Nate, you got to keep hating on Chris being a phony Eagles fan. This shit just came out of nowhere this year, pandering to that dumbass fan base. Please call him out more on that. I appreciate you doing that the past few weeks."
You definitely
Someone's
do.
gotta
It's like
stop that
you
from
talking is like a dog whistle to low IQ people. Because that is just, I mean, that is just what it just started this year. Like, what are we talking about?
Why'd I catch a stray on that? What the fuck did I do?
That's hate.
On you.
No, that's hate. Well, you're the one amplifying the hate.
You said Nate.
Oh, and now you're like, oh, no.
No, you just said Nate, check your DM, and I checked my DMs, and in my
Oh.
request, that's what was there.
If anybody thinks I just became an Eagles fan this year, you might be stupid.
Danny W asked on Twitter, what rookie quarterback has surprised you the most with their year one readiness,
Bo
good
Nix.
or bad? Good or
Jayden
bad.
Daniels.
Bonex.
Spencer Rattler, he's trash.
Yeah, that was surprising.
That's surprising.
I had high hopes for Spencer
as
Rattler.
much shit as he talked on that when he was on that reality show as a kid, he's trash. Rattled.
Assign the guys on the pod positions on the field, and why is Cowboy a kicker?
Yeah, no.
No,
Oh, I'd be a kicker.
Nate's a D tackle. What do you think? Slot receiver. Reed, you're a slot receiver.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
That's sick.
Like one of those like Wes Welker types.
definitely one of those Wes
Okay.
Welker types.
It's very kind.
Not the Amon-Ra St. Brown type.
You know he wakes up every
Hospital
morning and
balls.
runs 7 to 10 miles.
Yeah, he runs a lot. You know, guys, I'm not really.
Could I be
Yeah,
selected for a position?
yeah.
I mean, they're asking you.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Punter. You're tall. You're skinnier. Like you're slender.
And a punter that the bottom 5 punting teams should have traded
Like a
for.
good punter. You're
Yeah.
like Bajorquez. You
I
got
mean-
you.
Throwing this out there. Can I be a quarterback?
Sure.
I look great throwing a ball.
Yeah.
I really do.
Have a game of catch. You've been asking me to have
Oh,
a game
my
of catch
God.
for years.
Nothing better than a game of catch.
You might be
I can
a
see
quarterback.
over the line.
Somebody asked about your 5-leg parlay, Nate.
The
Womp,
one
womp, womp.
one more last one before we get to Steve, which will be a different show. You guys have
Different
to come
show.
back
You
on
guys gotta
Saturday
check
for
that
that.
out.
But do you think it's justified to pay Ben Johnson, the Lions to pay Ben Johnson, head coach money or close to stay in Detroit?
No.
The thing we didn't mention, and I do think it's really important, like I would if I was an owner. There's no salary cap on coaches. Like, I think more than anything, if you paid a coach some exorbitant amount of money, like a offensive coordinator, to stay, and you like exercise a loophole where you're like, you're going to make as much as the head coach. The problem is other owners, coordinators are going to go to the owners and say, now you got to pay me. And I think it's like the Deshaun Watson thing. It's like paying a running back. It's like these owners have kind of like an unspoken deal where they're like, we don't do certain things, and I think that's probably off the table. But having said that, if you could, I absolutely would, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's like when you look at quarterbacks and their development, like a lot of quarterbacks go through slumps, offenses go through slumps in the middle of a window that's wide open because the coordinator leaves. And that's one of the pitfalls of not having an offensive head coach. Like, I just it's a tale old as time. You bring up a quarterback who helps accelerate the window, and a lot of the reason the quarterback is in the position he's in is because of the continuity that coordinator provided, and he's probably a great coordinator if he leaves for a head coaching job. And at the end of the day, a lot of times everybody ends up unhappy. The guy who left because he goes somewhere shitty, like say Ben Johnson took the Panthers job, probably the Lions would be miserable, and so would the Panthers, and so would Ben Johnson. Mm-hmm. And so like a lot of times I feel like the best thing for a coach is to decide that I don't want to be a head coach. Like Spags. Spags is a legend in Kansas City. Spags, no matter what he does from here on out, is going to be part of – I mean, if they go for a three-peat, that's insane. And, he could have jumped off and been a head coach at any point. His name wasn't in the running for these jobs, but I'm pretty sure if Spags wanted to be a head coach again, he could. Here's the point I want to make. With Ben Johnson, the Chicago job has been talked a lot about over the last couple of weeks since Eberflus has been kind of like in the crosshairs again. The Chicago job is one that's very interesting to me for him. And, you talk about like Dan Quinn taking good players from the Cowboys and bringing them to Washington. Can you imagine if Chicago hired one of the biggest factors in Detroit's success and took it away from Detroit? It's like compounding.
And not just players. What happens if it's a Ben Johnson and then he gets a really solid guy with defensive background who's been a head coach before, maybe like Mike Vrabel?
Oh, man.
Ben Johnson,
Yeah.
Mike Vrabel, Chicago 2025?
That'd be crazy, dude. That would
That'd
be
be
crazy. So I just wanted to bring up the Chicago element of that. But, like, yeah, I think the reason I would guess that you can't just throw a giant bag at coordinators to make them stay is because if one team does it, then all the other coordinators are going to be doing it, and that's bad for business. It's bad for business in the NFL.
Well, we'll wrap with that. And as we head off, we want to thank BetMGM.
No, Drew Nichols, I'll never take the Jags glasses off, bro. I got these from my friend. He played for the Jags. He's an alumni. All right, ready? As we get ready for Week 10 in the NFL this weekend, I want you to picture this. You bet your favorite player as first touchdown scorer, but he throws a block to send a teammate in the end zone, and you lost your bet, right? With BetMGM's second chance promotion, you'll get your stake back for your first touchdown score. I'm all thrown off.
Sorry.
With BetMGM, that was very good. It was too good. With BetMGM's second chance promotion, you'll get your stake back if your first touchdown scorer scores second. Bet on any pro football player to score the first touchdown of the game. If you're right, you win. If your player scores second, you get your stake back in cash. Keep that in mind next time you throw in a first touchdown score bet with BetMGM. Happy hunting. Have a great weekend.
Stop by tomorrow.
Oh, you know what I wanted to
Saturday?
play? Can I play something on the way out
Play something on the way
that
out.
you might like? This is what
Stop by tomorrow. Stanford Steve will give you some best bets with Chris and Macon.
because did you know?
Last play, Steve.
Look, did you know that there's a hurricane coming to Baton Rouge this weekend?
Uh-oh.
Cowboy Reed loves this song. I'm gonna be out there in the rain with that tiger.
Come back Monday, 2
Stanford-
p.m.
I'll be out there with Stanford Steve.
Hey, it's a south wind blow.
Make sure you bring a poncho.
Wait, hold on. You turn it off
Coming
yet?
home.
We just gotta let him hear the hook.
Now
a quarter. He turned his head. He took another sip of his whiskey bottle.
And he said,
Said I was born in the rain on the Poncha train underneath the Louisiana moon. I don't like the strain of a hurricane that come around every June. High black water, the devil's daughter. I don't care.
that it takes a lot of
I'm going to Baton Rouge. Take care.